We're up.
Thank you for doing this.
My pleasure. Do you want to sit here?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
It's your show, though.
Well, but that's not what we do. On YouTube, we call it, we say the Joe Rogan experience, and people click.
Ah.
Don't sue.
Good move. I won't sue.
Don't sue.
Come on.
Thank
I love
you.
I'll never sue you.
Thank you for letting me shoot the special at the mothership. It was amazing. Thank you for saving it.
Thank you for doing it. Well, let's talk about it. 'Cause
Yeah.
when we got there, it's generally some executive type person decided to put lamps on every table and light the room up. And I got there, I was like, oh no, this is terrible. And there was like a tension in the air that you could feel.
It was the brightest I had ever seen the club.
Yeah, it was weird.
I could see earrings.
Yeah, you could see everything.
Everything.
You could see zits. If somebody had zits,
you could see their complexion. And then so Wednesday, the early show, we were shooting Wednesday, Thursday. The early show Wednesday was tough. It was tough. People
it was tense.
They were having fun, but
you were doing really well. But your opening acts were struggling. Because it was a feeling when you got there. When I walked in, I was like, Jesus Christ, this feels like a board meeting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It felt like a conference hall. It felt weird.
It was weird.
And everybody seemed like a little off-put by it. Like everyone, the audience was tense.
They were tense.
But as soon as you started fucking around with the audience and going into them, they got loose.
They got loose a little bit. But it's funny. It's like when you shoot a special, you do comedy all the time, and then you go out and you shoot a special, and you go, okay, I've done this a million times. It's gone great, and it'll go great now, and we'll just get it on film. And then you go out, and it's like... And I'm like embarrassed because you're there. And in my head, I'm like, I hope he left. Because you're all excited, and you're like, I'm coming to see the special. I'm excited. And I'm like...
Well, thank God I came.
I mean, I'm up there, and I'm like doing bits, and the audience is just staring at me. And I go, well, this is good. And then, but afterwards, you corrected it and said, you got to make it like a comedy club.
Well, to those guys' credit, they all did exactly what I said, which is beautiful. They didn't push back at all. They
were smart.
Yeah, they had so much work that they put into making things interesting. They lit the walls weird.
Yeah.
They did all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I said, you got to understand, all this stuff makes people self-conscious. The more they can see themselves, the more they can see other people, the more they're self-conscious, the more they won't laugh. And Tim's act is fucked up.
Right.
Like you have to cut loose on some jokes that in polite company you would never laugh at.
That's right.
You would turn your head away from. So.
And what was a mind fuck is that I was here a month ago, and I did 6 shows, and they were like the best shows we've ever done.
You're like, this is the perfect place to film.
Why wouldn't we film it here?
Right.
And we filmed it at the store, and we didn't get the coverage. I had a good set, but the coverage wasn't there.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And
which doesn't make any sense.
It was not ideal.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's not great.
That's not a giant room. It's not like you're doing a Coliseum.
It was not good. It's always good when you think you're going to get it, and because the store, LA is weird. You have people that are sitting there in like ironic cowboy hats. Mm-hmm. They have their hot influencer girlfriends.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's weird.
It's not always great. Sometimes it's amazing. But we got, out of 4 shows in LA, we got 1 really great show, and Gabby Reese was there.
Oh, I love her.
Sitting in the front row. She's
the
best.
That's awesome.
She's the best. And I'm like, all right, so that's good, right? We got it. And everyone's like, we got it. And then we get the footage back, and we don't got it.
Did you have anything you use for clips, maybe?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking about the first show Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of clips in there.
There's clips.
You were fucking around with the crowd. It was very funny.
Yeah. No. For sure, there's clips. But, like, the one we got at the store, the guy who did it's a good guy. He's a nice guy. And he's a talented guy. But he just made some choices where he was, like, far out. He wasn't, like, we didn't have a ton of close-ups. And that was what because here's the thing. They have a vision, too.
Right.
The people that shoot it. And I don't talk to any of them and figure out anything.
Oh, you have to do that.
I should. Now, I've really learned.
Yeah.
I just showed up.
Yeah, I noticed.
I don't even like, I'm bad at that part of it where I'm like, I don't do like the strategy meeting and go, what are we?
Right.
I just figure it's like, yeah, it's a mothership. It's a great club. You got a camera.
Yeah.
There's a stage.
Don't go too crazy with the design. And that's what the problem was. They went really crazy with changing the atmosphere.
Yeah.
They wanted to, which probably works for some things, but it's not good for stand-up. And it's definitely not good for your kind of stand-up.
No.
Your kind of stand-up demands darkness.
preferably very dark where no one can even see each other or me.
Yeah.
You just hear my voice in a black hole.
Pauly's been doing this thing where he goes on stage and just has a spotlight on him. They did it with Holtzman as well.
Interesting.
For Holtzman, it's really good. Pauly, actually, I don't know if Pauly's doing it at the store. I know he definitely did it. He definitely did it at the store.
Right.
I don't know if he did it at the mothership. But when he would do it, I go, that's interesting. I don't know if I like it, but I like it for him. But for Holtzman, it's really good.
That's amazing.
Because he's just a complete fucking maniac.
I want to see Holtzman in a spotlight.
Did you see him
Surrounded
in
by
Madison Square
blackness.
Garden?
I didn't see his set.
It was fucking amazing.
I imagine.
It was fucking amazing
I
because
imagine.
it wasn't worked. You know, Holtzman will take something that day
Right.
and run with it.
It's wild.
That day. So he had this whole chunk about nobody likes Billy Joel. Fuck
Yeah.
Billy Joel.
That's so
Billy
funny.
Joel banners.
At Billy Joel's home, Madison Square Garden.
He sold Madison Square Garden out like 300 times.
I know, it's crazy.
It's like,
That's so funny.
and he's just like, fuck Billy Joel. Nobody likes Billy Joel.
Yeah.
All the people that work here, oh, fucking Billy Joel's here.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. No, he's great, man.
I'm not
He's
doing
great.
it any justice. I'm not doing it
No,
any
of
justice.
course. You
You
know,
have to- you have to see
he's
it.
one of those guys where the stuff he does, he can only do.
Well, we made a real big effort to get him to Austin. Because we felt like, look, this is not a diss to the Comedy Store, but he had gotten into this position where they weren't utilizing him the right way. They were just having him go up last at the end of these shows. You're talking about a 30-year comic.
Right.
He's really good.
Of course.
But he's weird. You gotta love it. I love it, and he has an audience now. Like, people come to see him at the mothership, and it's sold out, and they're expecting Holtzman.
Right.
Because it's like, did you ever hear the stories about when Hedberg was coming up?
No.
When Hedberg was coming up, before everybody knew who he was, before he did like Letterman sets, before he did Comedy Central sets, you would put him on as a headliner, and they had this guy who went on before him who was like rapping and doing backflips and super high energy, and Hedberg's just standing there talking about frozen bananas. You know what I
Right,
mean? It's
right.
like you have to set the stage right. You have to set the tone right. And until people know what he does and then they come to see him, it's tough.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing with Holtzman. If they don't know what's going on,
They have to know.
but once you know what's going on,
You're in.
You're in. And it's
Right.
great because it's so unusual.
It's so interesting how delicate things are. I had a guy, friend of mine, really talented singer-songwriter, and we were at San Jose, in San Jose, and I go, why don't you open the show with a few songs? And I thought, what would that do? And he did like 3 songs, and it was like really a tough show. It was like a brutal show, like after he did 3 songs, and I didn't realize, like, but a bunch of people told me, don't have comedy follow music.
It's too weird.
It's too weird. It doesn't
Two different
work.
mindsets.
Yeah, and like he's singing songs, and people are kind of like getting into it. And then we went on and did comedy, and it was just, it wasn't terrible, but it was very different.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel great.
You got to knock people out of that mindset of
Yeah.
seeing music. And the problem is, no disrespect, but most opening acts aren't strong enough to shock them out of it.
Right.
They're not good enough to really get the crowd going,
Right.
and change the mindset quickly. So by the time you're getting up, they're just still adjusting to the idea that they're laughing.
Yeah, it was, and I felt bad, and he kind of felt bad. We didn't say anything after. Like, he was sitting in the green room, and I was like, good job, man. He's like, yeah, you too. And then it was just silent because we were so mad at him. And it wasn't his fault. He's an awesome guy, and we loved hanging out with him. He's from Northern California. So me and my opener were like, why don't you tag along? We'll do this road trip, or maybe we flew. I think we flew. And I said, it'll be fun. The San Jose Improv's like an old theater that they've made into a club.
Great
And,
place.
Great place. And we were staying in like Palo Alto, which is fun. You walk around Stanford campus and, you know, see all the Asian people. It's nice just to see everyone. And, but then he got up, and it was like, I didn't know it was like running with weights on.
What did he sing about?
Just kind of like whatever he's doing. It's like acoustic music, but it's like some of it's like socio-cult like commentary. So I was like, maybe that'll fit. It's kind of like folky, kind of like, you know, whatever, here's what's going on type stuff. And I was like, that might be good. And it was like, whoa, it was like quicksand. We got up and it was like quicksand right after him. And then he was like, you know, the next day we're all kind of having breakfast. And I was like, you know, I think tonight we'll just do the comedy. He goes, no, I get it. He goes, it changed the energy. I go, yeah. And I go, I'm sorry. I felt, and he goes, no, I'm sorry. I felt bad.
It's just like mixing peanut butter and steak.
Right.
You know, both of them are great.
Yeah, you just can't do it together.
Just don't put them together.
And it ruined the weekend because now we hated him. We were, but we like him. But I'm like, I don't even want to look at him now because of how difficult this was.
That's hilarious, especially San Jose Improv. That place is awesome.
It's always supposed to be awesome, and it was like, you know, it was tough. So it is comedy's such an interesting thing. You got to have an idea of like what you're going to see, who you're going to see.
Yeah.
And because I saw people that 8 o'clock Wednesday show, I'm like, they don't want to be here. Some of these people don't want to be here.
Well, I don't think that's the case.
Maybe it wasn't.
I think they were weirded out
by how lit it was.
It was so well lit.
It was so well lit.
There's a light in front of you on your table.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was a bad idea.
And then Thursday shows were the best ever.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, we got them to shut off everything.
Yeah.
They said, oh, we're just going to leave these lights on. I'm like, let me see them off. Like the stage light, I go, let me see that off.
Right.
Let me dim it down. Let me see it off. Okay, take it off. No, get rid of it. Get rid of it. And they did everything.
Yeah.
It's so nice owning a club.
Of course.
There's no committee.
Yeah.
There's no committee. There's me and you.
What do you want? You're the dictator.
But it's not even a dictator. It's like I do whatever the comic wants. Like,
Right.
whatever you need. Tell me what you want. We'll do it that way?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You want music? No music? Okay, no music. Whatever you want.
No, it's the most comic-friendly club, meaning like you can do anything you with. The reason that I need guidance because I don't know. Like I just know I like being funny.
Well, what you need with a special is someone who knows you,
right?
And someone like if I was directing or producing your special, this never would have happened. I would have said, no, we have to have it very dark. Like, let's take a look at it.
Right.
Let me hear the sound. Sound's got to be cranked all the way up.
Yeah.
We got to make sure there's no things that are missing, and we're good.
Right.
And just focus on Tim. Let him do his thing.
Right.
It's just everybody is an artist. Like we talked about the Aziz special.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Aziz. I think he's very funny. But that special that they did where Spike Jonze directed it, and he's sideways, and you see directly backstage where people are mulling around.
Yeah. It's odd.
It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
There's unnecessary things that I'm seeing now.
Right. Yeah.
Like if I go, the best thing about live comedy is that you're there and it's just the person. You're just watching that person and you're listening to what he's saying and you're locked into their head. Whatever jokes they're saying, whatever topics you're locked into their head, and you're just looking right at them. You don't have to see the audience and see them on the side and see them from here and from there.
Right.
Everybody wants to like move angles and
everyone wants to reinvent the wheel, and sometimes that's good, but often I guess it's not.
I think from now on I'm going to do them live. I really do. I think after doing that one live, I'm like, even if it sucks, so I fucked up. So this is me when I fuck up. Like, fine.
Right.
I'm just going to prepare more like I did for this one. But I think this way, it's like there's no way to do anything weird. You know, there's no editing.
Live comedy to me is so fun. Cameras suck.
It's definitely an other element.
But
you can get past it.
We found the dynamic that worked.
It's like I always say do 4 to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of times people were just doing 1.
It was good the Wednesday early show was a warm-up, and that it was a little tough so that the good ones felt amazing.
Yes.
So you had that.
Right.
You understood how good these were versus the Wednesday.
You also understand, like, you got to do some work. Like, it can go south. You can't be a little too relaxed out there.
No, and I learned that.
That's the best thing about bombing. If you have a bad set or even just flub a joke or something like that, boy, the next set you're so focused.
Yeah.
You're so like tuned in. And I try to be like that all the time. I try to like think about that all the time and make myself like, if I'm a little too relaxed before I go on stage, like, hey, come on, motherfucker. Like, you've had some shaky sets before. You don't want a shaky set, right?
Yeah.
Like, get focused.
Right.
Get that fucking first joke ready.
It's also a weird time in the world because we do have this weird drone thing, and
we have so many things going on.
There's a lot of weird shit.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird shit going on simultaneously.
There's like a lot of noise in people's heads.
Mm-hmm. Anxiety.
There's anxiety because people are, Whitney sat in LA just like these 5 drones in some, like they look like they're in like a, they're flying in a pattern or something. It's weird. And people don't know what's going on. There's a weird theory it's a missing nuclear weapon that they're looking for. There's a theory that these are foreign drones. And then we talked about the fact that maybe it is otherworldly. And no one's saying, the problem is no one's saying anything. Like,
no one's saying anything.
The government. And I texted, people like Tucker, people like you. I have smart friends, plugged in friends. Nobody seems to know. Like Tucker made a great point. He goes, the cover-up's bipartisan, which is not a good sign. It's like ominous. It's weird.
If it's a cover-up. It might simply be that whatever this is so big that they can't talk about it publicly. They can't share it with Congress.
Right.
That's what gets scary, and that's the nuke one. Now, from what I understand, somebody put community notes on the video that I reposted. So I reposted a video of this guy who's a drone manufacturer, and he was saying that these drones could be trying to sniff out a nuclear warhead, and that there was a nuclear warhead that was missing, and this guy was saying this, but then someone in community notes, I think, said something about being part of that video is part of a misinformation campaign. I don't know what that means. When I hear misinformation, I feel like someone's saying that this is intentionally misrepresenting the truth. That's how I view misinformation. Like disinformation or, incorrect information is one thing, but like misinformation always seems to me like this is like on purpose.
Right.
Right? Doesn't it?
Yeah, I would agree.
I might not be right in terms of like what the dictionary defines it as.
Disinformation to me, like a disinfo campaign, seems like it's a
concerted effort
strategy.
Yeah,
and you want that information out there to muddy the waters and confuse people.
Yeah. So and especially because they called it a campaign, so it's a part of a misinformation. You find it, Jamie?
I don't see the community notes.
If you click on the video, it doesn't have community notes?
I don't see anything else.
God damn, I swear to God, I saw it before.
Here's your post on it. If I click there.
No community notes? Maybe somebody pulled down the community notes.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, whether you agree with him or not, he is he's a CEO of a drone manufacturing company.
Yeah. He scared the fuck out of me.
He scared me.
I think the disinformation or misinformation, whatever they're calling it, was in regards to nuclear warheads that had not been recovered. And I think what the community notes were saying was that all the warheads from when Ukraine got disarmed
are accounted for.
Yeah. So, and then there was another guy. I don't know. I don't think it's the same guy. Is it the same guy that was saying that he put his hands on one? Is that him?
He's the one that said, I talked to someone that did.
I spoke to someone. But you know what's interesting? My friend Bethany, who's like one of the Real Housewife chicks who came up with that margarita. She made like a shitload of money.
Bethany Frankel?
Yeah, Bethany Frankel. Some guy called her, and we did a three-way call. She goes, I just want you to be on the phone with this dude. And he was just basically like, listen, my dad worked for this and that. And he was, and he goes, he said a lot of what that guy said. He said they're looking for something, and whatever they're looking for, they want to find.
Yeah.
Badly.
Well, if they do have a Skunk Works program where they do have some very sophisticated drones that can do things that these drones are doing. One of these things these drones are doing is hovering for very long periods of time.
Right.
5 hours. 5 hours of flight time is nuts for a drone. And they're not exhibiting this traditional heat signature. Any kind of engine, an electric engine, any engine is going to give off heat. It's going to give off friction. It just has to. So somehow or another, these things aren't doing that. So how are they doing that? Do they have a cooling system? And if they have a cooling system, what's powering the cooling system? And what kind of batteries are they operating under that they can fly for 5 hours at a time? So Ryan Graves, the fighter pilot who was on the podcast, talked about a couple of things that were theoretical, that people were openly working on in the 1960s and then kind of disappeared. One of them is anti-gravity drives, like something that works not on a propulsion system like we have with jets, but something completely different, some completely different type of technology. And the other one was cold fusion. And
interesting.
That there does seem to be at least a few reports that people have been able to do fusion without generating all that radioactivity, and that the heat and the different energy that comes from regular fusion.
Right. And that's something they've been trying to do forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
It seems like, what's the latest on cold fusion, Jamie? It's one of those things where I think by the time it gets to a moron like me, like how many people know it exists? How many people suppress that it exists? How often does, if it's that seems to me to be an issue of national intelligence,
right?
Like national security. If
well, you had Annie Jacobson on, and she wrote that book about DARPA. Ooh. And that book talks about how many years in advance they've had a lot of these technologies.
By the time you're seeing that robot dog, you know that robot dog that they make? By the time you're seeing that motherfucker, that Boston Dynamics, that fucker can probably run 500 miles an hour.
That's right.
And it probably looks like a real cheetah.
So it's been around for a long time.
Yeah, I think they're way more advanced than what they let on. You know, especially when you're dealing with the government, right? If you're dealing with like some black ops, skunk work stuff that they're doing at Area 51,
right?
How do we know about any of that? By the time we know about it, it's already been used in war, or it's already, you know, like the fucking stealth bomber,
right? Or it has a commercial component where they're going to sell it, right?
By the time we know about the state of the art of weapon systems, like why would they tell us?
So there is a possibility that this is a drill, and they're exhibiting this technology, they're testing it, that's
totally possible.
A possibility.
Yeah, if
that
you
seems
wanted
to be the most
to test
benign
it, if you wanted to test like the capabilities of these things in urban environments and how people react. Just throw them up in the air around New Jersey. You got the most volatile population on Earth.
It's the most volatile human beings on the planet. If you were going to test anything, it's over the skies of New Jersey.
It's a good place to test.
It's a motley crew of people in that state.
But Joey Diaz is the king of the state.
Joey Diaz is right.
He's the king of New Jersey.
Do you think there's a possibility that it's China?
Yes.
That's terrifying.
It's terrifying. There's all possibilities because as soon as they tell us, then we know.
Because they're going around sensitive military bases.
Yeah. And they're coming from the ocean.
And Trump said he didn't want to comment if he had gotten an intelligence briefing, but I watched his press conference. He said the government knows, the military knows where they came from. They should tell people, and wouldn't comment on whether he received an intelligence briefing, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But was basically, he said in his estimation, he doesn't think it's enemy drones because they would have shot them down, even if they were late, unless there's a reason they're not shooting them down. So that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
If China's able to do that, because it's not Iran, there's no way it's Iran. It seems like, and I don't know if it's Russia.
But here's the thing. If you're going to shoot them down, you're going to shoot them down the skies over New Jersey.
That's a problem.
You're launching missiles into the sky over New Jersey. They miss sometimes. You know? They missed when they shot that balloon. Remember the balloon?
The spy balloon.
That balloon was going slow as fuck. And one of those missiles missed.
And China,
pretty sure that's true.
And that was...
I'm pretty sure that's true.
That's China spy balloons.
Yeah, that was a spy balloon by China.
Now, how do we know they come from the water?
Days. Well, they tracked these things. They were coming from 50 miles at least off the coast.
Wow.
Just to be able to go that far, that's so far. That's crazy. Like, that should take an hour to drive. U.S. has first missiles, missed unidentified airline. Yeah, it missed. So our best fucking missile couldn't even hit a goddamn balloon. It's just floating. Yeah. It's not zipping through the sky like a jet. Right. It's just floating, and they missed. So where's that missile go? I don't know, but you don't want to be there when it fucking hits the ground.
So these drones, they're coming from the water. They're doing whatever they're doing, surveillance, whatever it is. They're sniffing around. Who knows? And then they're going back out to sea?
Some of them. You see, they're all different. Some of them seem to be traditional drones that are commercially available. Some of them. Some of them are orbs. There's people getting these photos of these fucking glowing balls.
Plasma orbs.
There's one that I saw on Twitter. I was like, man, I don't want to get into this right now. I'm going to bed. And so I forgot to save it, unfortunately, because it was just...
Is it when they're landing the plane and they're up really high?
No, it was they were focusing in on a screen. So someone... Have you seen it?
I just saw it too, but it was on my For You feed, and I don't know if I
Yeah,
can find it right now.
We're overwhelmed by these goddamn things. So I'm not even saving the interesting ones and sending them to Jamie. I don't know, man. I think some of them are. We've watched one that was from Arizona that was a few months ago, and we watched it jet off into the sky. We watched a video of it, and it moves. First of all, it's just a light. It's like a ball of light. And it rises, and they're all freaking out, like, where's it going? What the fuck? It's moving, it's moving, it's moving. And then it just goes like this, like starts moving towards space, and
because, we looked at that.
No sound. I showed it to you. That's right. I showed it to you at the club. No sound and an insane speed. I don't know what the speed was, but whatever the fuck this thing is, it was as big as an SUV, and then instantaneously it was gone. It just...
And then there are some of them that people say are the size of cars.
Yeah. There was this one. It's the size of an SUV.
Yeah.
So what is this, Jamie?
So a photographer says this is zoomed in from a 600mm lens, which is a pretty big zoom. 20-year photographer, which, I guess.
Whoa. Says it seems relevant somehow. I'm 61 years old. I'm indeed a boomer and a paid photographer for almost 20 years. So, not so sure what the point was. Just one more thing. People could say that the government or whoever is deleting the post. Nah, it's people deleting them themselves because, wow, I don't know what that means. No, he sounds a little conspiracy. Look at his photo.
So what
Look
is
at his
that?
photo, his crazy beard. I bet that guy knows some herbal remedies. Oh, that's not him. That's
like a TikTok account.
Yeah. What is that that's a drone?
Who knows what that is? I mean, that's something he saw in the sky. Is there any images? Can we go to his page? Because that seems to be just a photo.
Yeah, everyone was sharing this photo. That's kind of
right.
That post.
But it seems like his.
Oh, it's an orb.
I know. I was going to dig into that photographer, but you guys.
Right, but did you see that there was other images like you could scroll?
I know.
Right. Yeah. So Sony A. What is that, Jamie? How is that a badass?
It's a camera.
Is that like the shit?
It's new.
New. Okay, so top of the food chain, right?
Yeah.
And that's what he saw.
Jamie, there's also a video of somebody from a plane, and they're seeing these orbs in the sky above the clouds. There's like a lot of stuff that is lit up.
Could we, before you do that,
Sure.
we just go back to that image again real quick?
Yeah, it's so weird.
That is crazy. That's
fuck
kind of
is that?
That's kind of freaking me out because, like, what is that? I can't think of any conventional explanation if that thing is flying through the sky.
Like the other photo that they're zooming on the screen, it looks similar to this. I'm
Yeah?
trying to find that one too. That's why I was trying to keep it
That's
going.
so weird.
How likely is it that this technology is being tested out because it for whatever reason, we're on the verge of a major conflict with a country like China?
Very possible.
Yeah.
Very possible. It's also possible that, look at that one. Holy shit.
That's an orb.
What the fuck, dude?
But
That's a phone camera, though, right?
Yeah, a lot of these just look like weird lights that are getting blurred on cameras.
Right. Well, we talked about that, like the zoom feature in phones. Like I've zoomed in on stuff before, and if it's a light in the sky, it gets real squirrely on your phone.
Dude,
zooming in.
I'll tell you right now, I got completely.
Let me find that one.
That's where the Samsung phone has it way over the Apple phone, is the zoom power. I know it's digital, but it's 100x zoom, and it's pretty fucking good. When I zoom in on shit with that thing, it's so much better than my iPhone can do.
Dude, I got completely... I mean, this is... when you get... There's nothing better on the internet than when you're completely... When you get had.
Oh, you got had?
I got had, and it was like... Really, and I just sent Jamie the photo of this. And Jamie, I don't know if you can bring that up. I just texted it to you. I literally was showing this to people, going, look at this drone over my friend's house. And then they were just like, what are you, like an idiot? Look at this. I'm like an idiot. I was showing this to people. And I mean, I was showing this to people.
It's a flying pumpkin.
And,
No, it's the guy.
It's the guy. It's the guy. It's the, it's the guy with the huge dick. It's like, and I'm showing this to people, and I'm, and they're,
oh my God, I thought it was a pumpkin.
and we're on my phone, we're like making it.
Shit.
we're trying to get closer, and then I look like an idiot, and now no one wants to hear what I have to say.
When you zoom it like that, it looks like a pumpkin.
Because I was like, dude, that's a drone, and then like when I zoom up, I mean, it's
that's
like
so funny. That fucking photo, is that like the biggest meme of all time?
I think it's probably up there.
It's like that one and the lady with the sock hat screaming in the street when Trump won.
That's right. Those are huge. Those are big.
That poor lady, she probably had to grow her hair long.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is weird that all of this stuff's happening. And,
yeah.
But one thing that I at least am comforted by, a war with a country like China would destroy all life on Earth. Why would they want that?
Well, the thing is, if they could disable our weapon systems, if they can disable our grid, if they have infiltrated through espionage enough that they got deep into the inner workings of our systems, which seems like we're just not that organized the way China is.
No.
In regards to, China doesn't let people buy land near their military bases.
Right.
We do. China doesn't let other people sell them routers with third-party input so they can fucking spy on your shit. We do.
We do.
We used to, at least.
Right.
And so we know that the CCP has infiltrated a bunch of universities. They know that they send their best and brightest students over here and they share their information with the CCP. There was a story. God, I got to remember this right because I was barely paying attention to it. But it was a story where these people that were working on this project, the power went down for quite a bit. And these Chinese people that were working there freaked out because it turned out that they couldn't get in touch with the CCP. They couldn't check in like when they were supposed to.
Interesting.
So what it was they had people that were working for the CCP that were embedded in this like very significant project. And the CCP, they're smart, man. They know what the fuck they're doing. They give grants to colleges and universities.
Right.
They infiltrate. They know how to like use money and influence and they get a bunch of information. And there's a bunch of worries that some of the information from ChatGPT has been leaked over from OpenAI, that they've gotten a hold of some of that information. There was some sort of a leak that they were concerned with. But there's been a bunch of those situations. So if they have enough information where they know how our grid works, they know how our systems work, they know how to shut everything down, all they would have to do is strike first.
Right.
If you just completely disable the government, you completely disable the military, like quickly, can they really strike back?
I wonder what the goal would be.
Complete domination of the world.
No, well, that for sure. But like America's an unruly country. Would it be that they would just then take over the United States?
Well, they'd make us insignificant.
Right. That's the other thing.
You don't have to take over the United States if you want to run the world.
Right.
You just have to disable it.
You just have to make it less effective.
I mean, these are terrible things to think of.
Well, no. But I mean,
every empire falls, and our empire has certainly been sticking its hands and its dirty nose all over the world.
All over the world
and everything. And a lot of for good reasons, for national interest reasons. Yeah, this is it, Jamie.
Is that the orb?
Yeah, so this is one these guys are zooming in on. Like, okay, what the fuck is that? Like, what is that? That looks really weird. That thing looks really weird. That looks straight out of the Bible. That's like Ezekiel in the Bible. Like, what is that? That's a wheel within a wheel. What is that? But also, what kind of phone is this filmed on? What kind of lens was this filmed on? Is this complete distortion? Are you just looking at the moon?
Is plasma a technology that anybody has?
I mean, that's a weird question because I don't know how to answer that. I know they've been doing stuff with plasma. They've been doing stuff. It depends on who you're believing, right? Because, like, if you ask Bob Lazar, he'll tell you that they were working on these gravity-defying propulsion systems in the 1980s trying to back-engineer them. Is he telling the truth? Yeah. I don't fucking know. I just know when I see things that are really weird, like that, the first image with the photographer caught, I don't know what that is. Like, Jamie, how good is that lens that guy's using? Like, would it possibly distort something normal and make it look like that?
Here's another. I have it back up on the screen. There's another post where they shared the like the data from the metadata. It doesn't give you a lot more information, but it helps because people want to find out if they can sort of recreate it with the same sort of settings and whatnot.
Bro, that picture's 3,000 megabytes. 3,481 megabytes.
Oh, there's a period. It's 35.
Okay. I was like, that's crazy. Oh, it's it's only 34 megabytes.
It's a normal photo. I mean, it's really zoomed in to not, but this picture is also zoomed in because you could even see the mouse thing that has the cursor on it. So it's hard to know.
It's either us. It's either us. It's either another country going, here's what we can do.
Or it's intelligent life from somewhere else.
Or is intelligent life from somewhere else. I mean, those are the three possibilities. Us being the most benign, unless we're looking for nukes. Which is terrifying.
Yeah. Did you find that original photo, Jamie, where he shared multiple photos of her, or is it just the metadata?
I hadn't looked it up yet. It's I was getting there.
The government
it's very odd.
Gaslighting people and saying these are all regular drones and you're mistaking planes for, and I'm sure there are instances of people mistaking planes for drones, but the idea that everybody has lost their mind in the past 2 weeks isn't true.
No. Here's another thing. Is there ever been a time, ever, that you could ever recall where the government gave you information about something that was 100% true and unbiased and accurate and maybe concerning to people?
Right.
Never. It's like that lady, Karine Jean-Pierre, is that how you say her name?
Yeah, the press secretary.
What a terrible job. You just have to lie every day.
You have to
That's
lie
her
every
job.
day. Yeah.
And everyone's mad at her. But that's the fucking job.
It's the gig.
If you're working for a president that's reasonable and the press is unreasonable and they're saying things that aren't true, like that Kayleigh McEnany lady.
McEnany.
Yeah.
Kayleigh McEnany.
Sorry, Kayleigh. She's the best. She's the GOAT. And she always had receipts. She was like, oh, that's interesting because you said at this point in time, and CNN said that, and she just always has the receipts. Right. But they were saying things that weren't true. It was the opposite is what worries me. When the government is saying things that aren't true, that's when it gets weird. And then the press is yelling at them and she's saying, we've told you many times Biden is sharp as a tack, like that kind of shit.
What terrifies me is if I was going to attack a country, it is now.
Oh, yeah.
Our president is incapacitated. Our vice president is going around the country drunk.
The new president isn't in office yet.
The new president is not in office yet. So you have this weird period of transition where people don't know who's got what authority.
We have a month.
And we have a solid month. And now all of this shit is happening right now.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying.
Well, apparently, Biden and Harris were both called to the White House.
Well, thank God they're on the case.
From wherever they were. I don't know if it has anything to do with this,
I feel great that those two are back.
Well, where have they been?
Finally, someone that can deal with this. I think Biden was in Africa, and I think she's like getting drunk at a Hillstone.
I told you I've been describing them as the last managers at Blockbuster Video.
I mean, that's what they are.
That's what it is.
It's true.
It's a dead-end job.
It's the end.
You don't even have to fucking show up. Just this is bullshit.
It's the end.
We haven't heard a peep out of either one of them until, they started talking about it yesterday when the information about Biden's decline came out and how readily
it was covered up.
It was covered up instantaneously. Like they were seeing it right away, like from the first days in office. They were seeing him decline.
I heard before he ran.
Yeah.
He met with donors, and I knew someone in the meeting, and they were like, he doesn't seem great.
No.
This was before he ran the first time.
Bro, I was saying that during the election, and people were saying that, don't you know he stutters? Like, don't you know he stutters? Like, this was one of the things that people were saying to me. He stutters. I was like, no. Go back to watch him from 40 years ago. He doesn't stutter. Watch him 20 years ago. He doesn't stutter. Watch him when he was the vice president. He didn't fucking stutter. That's not stuttering. You know what that is. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a fucking duck, man, unless DARPA made it.
Right. Unless DARPA made it, really and then it's an orb.
It's really a duck nuke in Central Park ready to fucking kill the whole city. Oh, boy.
I mean, the scary thing is that we've been living in what feels like a movie for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, it constantly keeps ratcheting up. We haven't had a normal time. There hasn't been a time when we've all just said,
Right.
It went from Donald Trump winning
to
a pandemic to Biden to realizing Biden was asleep and not running the country, to Trump running again, all the indictments, a lot of the bullshit indictments, almost getting killed with an assassin. And then another guy tries to assassinate him at a golf course. Then Trump wins with a lot of support, every swing state, every single poll, again, wrong. Now we have drones the size of cars hovering over Planet Fitnesses in fucking Metuchen, New Jersey, fucking Hillsborough Township, wherever the fuck. We have orbs in the sky. We can't explain how they got there. We have the president of China getting his country on war footing, firing generals that don't want to go to war, purging the military.
Really happening?
Purging the military of anybody who's like not into a very militarized China. He's
Really?
like, yeah. And that's, you can look that up, Jamie.
Well, he
There's a bunch
probably
of articles about that.
what's going on in Ukraine, in Russia.
Well, that's the terrifying
that's
thing.
Taiwan.
The terrifying thing is, are they all just has he sat down with Putin and then Kim Jong-un or I forget, I think it's Un. It's Un.
Yeah.
And then is he like, listen, they're going to fuck with you in Ukraine, they're going to fuck with us in Taiwan, like all these BRICS countries like Iran and stuff. At a certain point, our allies are not, and we have the UK, we have Europe's, whatever Europe is, whatever's left.
Right.
And Israel, I guess, but we're it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So we've got to be a little careful about how we handle all of these different countries.
Yeah, I hope that when Trump gets in, he genuinely can bring peace. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know how that works. But
I think he's going to talk to these people. I think the real problem is that Biden, they've cut off communication.
Yeah, that's not good.
And it's really not good. And I understand maybe why they've done it, because Biden's not all there.
Yeah. Well, it's probably not good to have him go there and clearly not be all there, and them thinking they can get away with whatever
and
the fuck they want.
people like Tony Blinken and Jake Sullivan and all these guys in the national security state are, without a doubt, taking orders from people above them, and we don't know who the fuck these people are.
Right.
And the consensus is we're going to drain the Russian military through a bloody war with the Ukraine over 2 regions, and we're going to do all these things, and we're going to, we're going to help the Assad regime get overthrown. Assad's not a good guy, and he's a terrible guy, I'm sure. But that's a strategic goal of the United States for a long time, and Israel, and to do that. Okay, Assad's no good. Now we have someone in there. I mean, let's see what that looks like. But there's a lot of instability. You have a lot of...
Well, they didn't like Assad so much. They were happy when the Taliban and Al-Qaeda took over.
Well, this is the thing. So now we have... there's no great choices in that part of the world. There's no, great Western democratic leader who's going to take over. It's just going to be a succession of dictators or religious theocrats, and it kind of always has been. Other than Iran, which was startlingly progressive until they had that coup.
Right.
That, BP and, us and everybody else.
Whoops.
Whoops. Mistake.
Another reason to be mad at us.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem. It's not us. It's not
Right.
fucking country music and football. It's like,
Jamie, are you just going to terrify us the whole time?
So that's what these are just stars that are a little bit
This
out of
is
focus.
a John a John Summit concert. This is
Okay.
Diplo. This is nothing.
The star out of focus on the bottom looks exactly like the photos.
So these are just stars.
Yeah, mostly that's what it seems like. I found the original post that came from.
Thank you, Jamie.
Wow. Dude,
We're thinking we're
stars,
getting
We're debunking
nuked.
it, it's just a star.
stars look dope as fuck. That looks exactly. And the top
It's
one,
not China nuking us. It's just the stars.
the top one
Beautiful.
looks exactly like it.
Especially if I pause it at a
Yeah,
right
the
time.
top
Yeah.
one looks exactly like it.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, we're fine.
Biden's good.
Except for all that Syria, Ukraine.
We're doing too much, and we need to, and there's this weird idea. People just don't like if you say something like, and I understand people associate with movements that use the words America first and aren't good. But back in the 1930s and stuff. But if you say like we need to worry about America, or we need to put America first, or we need to have a concern about America, people think it's inherently racist or like jingoistic or like that you hate other people and it's like fascistic. But it's not. It's genuinely what most countries do that aren't meddling in problems all over the world.
Every country does it.
You would never call Norway like a fascist country because they're worried about Norway. And the things that we're doing in the world, it's not always great. In fact, it seldom is. We're making a mess. And
it's not us, though. It's not you and me.
It's not me and you.
You say we. It's not us. The thing about it that everybody has to recognize is that none of this is free. This is all costing insane amounts of money, and people are profiting. And this is what Eisenhower warned about when he was leaving office.
Right.
And this is it, in the clearest sense of the word. It's not crystal clear to everybody why all this stuff is happening.
Right.
Most people don't even know about the coup in 2014 Ukraine.
They don't.
Most people don't know about the coup in Iran.
Most people don't know that the president of the Ukraine right now, Zelensky, played the president on a television show.
Yeah.
A comedy show.
Yeah.
And the premise of the comedy show was that a comedian became the president. And then they made him the president. And Putin has got to be sitting there in his palace with his whores going, are they fucking kidding me? He's sitting in his palace by the Black Sea and he's going, they're making this guy the president of the Ukraine, and I'm sitting here, and it's hilarious. Like, it's not even well done anymore. That's the thing.
Right.
With what they're doing with like Epstein and all this stuff, it's not even artful the way they're doing it. It's lazy. Yeah, it's like all of this is lazy.
It's like a bad cop show.
They're like, this guy plays the president on TV. Now you're the president. What? They call it the revolution of dignity. It's the whole thing. And the CIA is going around and meddling in all these countries in a very like sloppy, ham-handed, like, Abbott and Costello like way. And then you just have to and they've sold it in such a brilliant way to people. They've sold it in this like altruistic way that we're helping people. And it's the revolution of dignity. The way they say it. We're just giving people that's all we're doing. We're over there dignifying. And, and all of these people, ignore like Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, like all the things that we've tried to do and failed miserably at. Democratizing the Middle East, all of these things. People pretend like they didn't happen. They go, no, this one's good. The Ukraine's good. This one's going to work. We're in there for the right reasons. We all believed that we weren't in Iraq for the right reasons, and it was a mistake.
Other than World War II, yeah, that's coffee. Other than World War II, is there ever a time where you could point to and say, oh, that one worked out? We made it better.
There's not a lot of good ones. There's not a lot of good ones. Vietnam is not a great one.
Vietnam was terrible. It was terrible.
No, the things we're good at are like when Bill Clinton was getting caught with Monica Lewinsky, he just bombed a chemical factory in Sudan for no reason. He just went, boom. We're good at like the hit and run.
I remember people openly, even back then, saying that he was doing that just to distract from the fact that he was in trouble.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's just giving us something else to think about.
We just need to take it down a notch. We're like a chick who was hot forever and just got treated like that and was a cunt to everyone.
And now she's 60.
And now she's 60.
And she's at the bar.
And she's at the
calling
bar.
you gay because you're not hitting on her.
That's right. And the tits are out. And you're like, all right. But it's not what it was. And she doesn't understand that you can't go around the world treating people like shit now that you're older. You have to like fucking join a book club.
Not only just older, but older and rich.
She's rich, she's got a lot of money, and she doesn't care.
The crazy thing is they just keep sending money over there. Like, no matter what anybody thinks or says, the money just keeps flowing.
We think that the Ukraine is going to be, it's going to be like a client state of the U.S. State Department, which is what it has been. We don't have an interest in the people's dignity of the Ukraine. I hope people realize that. And I'm not saying that people in the Ukraine don't deserve dignity or their own government or whatever they want. I mean, God bless.
Of course.
Our foreign policy aims are not, we don't go around the world going, who's not dignified? That's not what we do. And let's give them dignity. BlackRock, all of these companies are being promised farmland. They all have contracts to rebuild. Mineral wealth. Lindsey Graham, last time I was on, we talked about that. So you just, they want the Ukraine to be our client state in that part of the world where we are just enriching ourselves with the minerals in the Ukraine, their farmland, and, we have all the contracts to build their critical infrastructure. So,
have you heard Mike Benz talk about the whole Burisma thing?
Not in as much detail as I should have.
Yeah, he goes deep into what they were trying to do. And it's, it's about energy, and it's about taking the control of energy away from Russia.
Right. When you realize how the world runs, it's interesting because when you're a kid or a young adult, you believe that the world is run on ideas. I think it partially is, but you think like some people have good ideas, some people have bad ideas. Those people fight, and hopefully good ideas win. But then when you realize when you get older, it's like a lot of it seems to be about trade routes, minerals, energy. Like people have things.
Yeah.
They have actual things. They have mineral deposits. They have oil. They have openings to the sea. They have routes to move stuff from one place to another. They have actual physical things of great importance and great value. And the ideas seem to just coalesce around those things. Like if Ukraine didn't have that mineral wealth and it wasn't strategically important with regards to Russia and it didn't have the energy infrastructure that it did.
And we weren't involved in NATO.
And we weren't, no one would care, but it seems to be that, this is really the way the world runs. It's about energy. It's about, these minerals. It's about, keeping certain trade routes open to do business. And then the ideas are sold to you based on the needs of the people that are, most people don't know what Burisma is.
Right.
Most people have no idea. But our whole policy in the Ukraine is probably revolving around things like that.
And probably most of our policy in the world.
Right.
And then there's weird ones, like the Afghanistan opium connection. That's a weird one. That their production went up like 96%.
Right. Right.
As soon as we got in there, it's like, and then the reality was like we were trying to say we need to help these farmers guard their poppy fields so that they'll give us info on the Taliban.
Right.
How did that work out 20 years later? It really didn't. It really didn't work out. And then they were supplying most of the world's heroin. So most of the world's heroin was coming from a place where we were actually actively guarding. Do you ever see the Geraldo Rivera one?
Yes.
It's wild. Where
it's
he's
crazy.
He's kind of trying to gaslight people.
That's when he had his Fox News show, right?
Yeah. So he's walking around interviewing these people who are guarding these poppy fields, trying to find some sort of way to gaslight folks.
You gotta, if you're going to do black projects all over the world, and the Congress isn't going to give you money, you need to find a way to make money.
And there's no better way to make money than illegal drugs.
Drugs are a great way to make money. Human trafficking is a great way to make money. I mean, it's not. I'm not saying it's great, like morally great.
No, but
the intelligence community. There's these dark corners of the intelligence community that need money to operate and do the things they want. And it always seems like anytime there's a human trafficking thing going on or a drug thing, they always seem to be in the picture. The intelligence community. They're always like there. There's always like a guy that knows a guy who's an asset. It's never like they're nowhere near it.
Right.
They're always somewhere lurking around in that vicinity.
Now, isn't part of that their job?
Part of that is probably their job.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if you're someone who's got an eye on national security and you want to make sure the terrorists aren't plotting anything, you kind of have to be a part of everything nefarious.
To a degree.
I mean, like, clearly, I'm playing devil's advocate.
For sure. Of course. And I think you're right. As Dick Cheney said, we have to work with the bad people.
Is
Thanks,
that what he
Dick.
said? Is that what he said?
Goes, we got to work with some bad, like we weren't before. That was the funny thing. After 9/11, he's like, we got to work with some bad people. There's we're just working with too many good people. We actually have to start working with some bad actors. And it was just like, everyone was like, that makes sense.
So I'm going to bring in my business partners.
Right. So I'm going to bring in my friends and family. But you're right. I think to an extent, there is an argument to be made that you have to have tentacles in these different things. Now, do you have to run blackmail operations with Jeffrey Epstein and P. Diddy?
Do you think the government was involved in the P. Diddy stuff?
1,000%.
Really?
I think they wanted to blackmail serious Hollywood people, serious music people, serious athletes. I think that Diddy opens up a different world than Epstein opened up. And I think if you want control over people in that world, there's startling similarities between Diddy and Epstein. And, you know, I mean, Diddy had the same head of security as Michael Jackson.
What does that mean?
Well,
was Michael Jackson in the government?
No, Michael Jackson has been credibly accused of inappropriate activities.
Oh, right.
And he had a security guard that
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just an interesting connection.
But generally, like, people that specialize in top-level celebrities like that, they work in the same circles.
Yes, but those are top.
Yeah, but I see that's what's interesting is, like, we didn't know about the Diddy thing until, look, I've been in Hollywood I was there for 25, 26 years or something like that. I didn't know about the Diddy parties.
No, I think you have to get invited to
a
them.
white party, like on like fucking People magazine or something like that.
Well, I think it's just one of those things that, like, you're invited to, and you could go and show up there and stay for an hour, and it's all completely innocent. And then there are after parties or certain things.
Well, they would tell people, you know, at midnight, you better go the fuck home, or
it gets wild.
Be prepared to freak off.
And there's targets. I think people, they want leverage on certain people.
Well, certainly if you have artists, right? Like, say if you have an artist, he's the next Tupac.
Right.
And you imagine the amount of money a guy like that can generate. If you have some, like, super talented artist.
Right.
Fucking compromise him.
Yeah. Well, that's right.
You got him.
And now you have him, and now he's got to kind of do what you want.
You know the Jimi Hendrix story?
No.
So Jimi Hendrix, one of his bodyguards, like someone who was involved with him, wrote a book. And the book was essentially alleging that Jimi Hendrix was killed by his manager, who was a mobster, because Jimi Hendrix was about to leave his manager. And what happens with a lot of these artists is whoever's controlling them might have ownership in their titles, might have ownership in their music. And if you think someone's going to leave and you kill them, like, now you have all their music and you essentially can keep selling it forever. Especially someone like Hendrix. Like,
wow.
He's actually worth more to you dead
than alive.
Than if he leaves you and you're not making money from him anymore. He's worth more to you dead.
Well, there was that whole thing with Diddy and the Biggie shooting.
Well, also Diddy's exes,
right?
His ex, someone who knew his ex, they all died of pneumonia.
Right.
You can give someone, there's certain chemicals, poisons that you can give people, and it results in pneumonia. You know, I don't know if these autopsies even check for that stuff.
Right. Probably not.
I don't know. I mean, what is it? Is it like cyanide? What is it, Jamie? That, like, because we did Google this at one point in time, that there are certain poisons that you can give someone and they'll die like they died of pneumonia. And like a bunch of people around him died of pneumonia. That's a weird. I don't know anybody who died
Hollywood
of pneumonia.
will never recover from the last few, like the knowledge that a lot, and listen, there's so many talented people.
Here it is. Lung injury, renal failure, cyanide poisoning may also cause respiratory symptoms of bronchitis, lung edema, and pneumonia. You just give someone cyanide. And didn't one of his bodyguards say that they tried to poison him 3 times? There's like one of his bodyguards came out recently and he was doing some interview and said they tried to poison him.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those claims in those interviews, but I don't know
Yeah,
if,
who knows what's real?
It's hard to imagine that Hollywood recovers from just the slew of bad and truthful press.
So much shit went down.
So
where
much
people-
dark shit.
Also, just how stupid they are.
Right.
Like the Will Smith thing. When they gave him a standing ovation after that, this is so stupid. Like, what,
Right.
You guys don't think straight. This is
No.
you're thinking nutty.
It's a very isolating, strange place, and I've lived there on and off for a long time. Not long, but 4 or 5 years. But like, I go, I do my sets. I have a few friends. It's not a place conducive to making friends. Everyone's too
Not
far
anymore.
away.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. And
We used to have the store. That was the hub.
that was a hub of comedy.
Yeah,
And
that was
we'd
where we
all-
would go.
Yeah.
We would all. It was so good. Those years were
Yeah,
so good.
they were great years.
From 2014 to 2019, it was so good.
It was so good. Or you'd have like a friend who you wrote on a show, and then they had a crew of people because they all worked together. But now it's all fallen apart,
Right.
and it's just kind of lonely and vacant.
It's a vapid culture now,
Yeah.
right? Because like a lot of the comedy is like diluted significantly, and then you don't hear a lot about music coming out of LA anymore. I'm sure.
No.
I'm sure people are still making.
Well,
great
LA, the music
there,
now is like young rappers who are all white and are all drinking cough syrup. And what happens now in LA is there's a parking lot like full of kids, and a van will pull up, and like 5 security guards get out of this van, and then they pick up this child who's like asleep because he's drank so much cough syrup, and then they sit him on the top of the van, and he says things that aren't words. He goes, one of them just yells "slut truck," and he's a talented guy, the Netspend kid. But he goes, they put him on the top of a truck, and he goes, "Slut truck, slut truck," and then everyone cheers. I guess sluts are in the truck. I imagine this is something about this. Then they pick him up like a child. They pick him up, and he like kind of waves, and then they put him back in this van, and then they drive him away, and everyone goes nuts. That's the music industry now. That's what it is. It used to be like Joplin or Hendrix or whatever, or even Biggie or Tupac, whatever.
but there's also a bunch of people like Oliver Anthony
Yes,
that
there-
like emerge online. You know, Zach Bryan emerged just
Yes.
because of being online.
Well, this kid emerged online too, but I mean, But we're talking about L.A. Listen, you
it's
could be
just
talented. And there's James McMurtry in Austin, who's amazing, who plays at the Continental Club. There's tons of great music.
Yeah.
But a lot of the young rappers are white suburban kids who have drug problems.
I think it's a weird place to be an artist now.
Yeah.
It's not the same place. It did, like the soul of it was destroyed during the pandemic. There's something about like realizing that it's so inept and corrupt and stupid. The laws were so stupid, and everybody was just everyone was so weirded out that I think people lost confidence.
There's a darkness that's so funny. It's like New York never has that darkness, and New York is this crazy, frenetic place.
Right.
But you don't feel bad in New York.
No.
You don't feel like dark.
Right.
LA, you get depressed. You're like depressed. And it's pretty. That's the other thing.
I know
LA's
it's sunny
pretty,
out
but
and
it's
you're
like
still depressed.
New York is like gray, and everyone's running around, but there's like a soul
Right.
to it.
Well, in New York, people aren't trying to get famous, and I think
Right.
that permeates every aspect of what LA is.
Yeah.
Is this desire that so many people have when they're there to be famous. There's so much proximity to fame, and then there's so much like, who do you know? Do you know famous people? Are you going hanging out
Right.
with famous people? Oh, we went to George Clooney's house.
Right.
You know, we went to this guy's house. We're
Right.
hanging out with this guy on Malibu Beach.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool. Like you're in the right. Like that's like it's part of like the currency there.
Right.
Is fame, and so that's a vapid thing.
Which is now meaningless.
Meaningless.
It has no meaning.
Hawk Tua.
No meaning.
She's more famous than most actors on television.
It
shows
has
for
no
years.
meaning because it isn't assigned anymore based on anything.
Right. It's not talent. Like
Right.
you're not Hendrix.
No.
You're just some person, and you have a Twitch
There are
channel.
people that are very talented, but then there are people also that are just, they're good at getting famous and staying famous.
Right.
And some of it, like this family that screams and yells in a Costco, and they sing songs in a Costco. That's their whole thing. And they've been on the Tonight Show, and they're
Really?
You've never seen the Costco Family?
No.
The Costco Family is a family of cretins from Florida, and they scream and yell, and they have a song about Costco, and they eat these cookies. I mean, can you please back me up here because he thinks I'm
How
making
do I
this
not
up.
know about
That's
this?
the thing. They bring the boom.
They bring the boom. They
bring
have
the
a whole,
boom, Joe?
They
Oh, they
have
bring
a
the boom
whole
everywhere.
show.
They bring the boom?
I think
yeah.
they're demons, and it's an incantation because they go double chocolate cookie, and I think it's a demonic incantation, and I believe they're the physical representation of an entity called Baal. And Roseanne talks about this.
What?
Look at this.
That's what we do. We bring the boom. We bring the boom to you. We bring the
But this is an evolution. They got to the song.
Wait a minute, how many
after-
views are on this?
I mean, well, this is just the YouTube
This,
version.
but
This is
they're-
not.
these are
they're big on
these are
TikTok and
famous
Instagram.
people, and this is something is wrong. This is as disturbing as the drones.
Well, here's the thing about TikTok and the thing about Reels and even Twitter to a certain extent. When you're just scrolling from video to video to video,
Yeah.
like it doesn't have to be good to get your attention.
No, it's the cringe element of it is what makes, because every view is created equal.
Right.
So if you're repulsed by something and you keep showing it to people.
Right.
So that's how you got this family. Can you play their song?
Well, yeah, sorry.
I mean, Jamie, this is worse than the drones. And they're literally well known.
Do Christmas boom?
Yeah,
or-
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is like,
It's giving me ads for some reason right now. They just
YouTube
broke-
wants money.
They just broke through the ad blocker.
Give me
Give
that
them more ad,
money.
too.
I mean, don't rate it on a boom meter. So
What?
they go eat this chicken bake at
How
Costco.
famous are these people?
Very. I mean,
They're like very famous. Joe,
internet
it's
fame right now. Very famous. They're everywhere. This guy used to be a pro wrestler. He
maybe China
started
should.
okay.
Maybe China
So
should
he knows
take
how
over.
to perform.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But you know, it's like
See, look, Mr. Beast bringing the double chunk chocolate chookie.
It's a double chunk chocolate cookie.
I mean, this is
What is that?
It's a double chunk chocolate cookie.
it's an incantation. It's demonic.
Well, that's why the drones are here. It's a signal.
But by the way,
Imagine
it
if
is
that's a signal.
time. Like as much as I don't want this to happen, like it is time.
Don't you kind of want it to happen, though?
It might need to.
If it's aliens, I kind of want it to happen.
I think it might. They might have said we're not doing that. The aliens. They might have heard double chocolate, and the aliens went, no, you fucking retards. We gave you technology thousands of years ago to figure it out. We visited the Sumerians. We gave them stuff, and you've used it to go to Costco. Enough. We're sending the orbs.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah, it is too much.
So to base your life on fame is stupid.
The thing is, though, if you're that guy
Yeah.
and that family, and now all of a sudden you're rich, which,
Yeah.
happened to a lot of these TikTok folks. All of a sudden you're rich. Why wouldn't you do it? Even if you're untalented.
I'm not blaming him. What I'm saying is that the culture,
Yeah.
like Bill Hicks used to talk about, you pay a psychic price.
Yeah.
If people know that they can get famous like that,
Right.
it spreads.
Yeah.
It spreads like, malaria.
Yeah.
And now everybody is being a monster to try to get attention.
Right.
Without any discernible skill or
Right.
talent.
Right.
That infects the broader culture. And I think that's not a net positive.
I think you're absolutely accurate. Yeah. I wonder how long that's going to work. Like, is it going to be a trend that comes and goes like many other things?
One hopes.
Or is it going to expand and get more stupid? Like, if it's just about attention, if attention becomes something you can monetize, so you're essentially asking people to do more and more extreme things. That's why you have a lot of these people doing pranks and getting beat up in the mall.
That's right.
The guy got shot. Remember that guy got shot?
Yep.
You kept harassing this guy. The guy just pulled out a gun and just shot him in the stomach in the mall.
Right.
Could it get dumber? Like, let's imagine something dumber than TikTok. Let's imagine something dumber. Like, what's the next stage of dumb that's going to shock you? That's going to get a lot of attention.
I don't know, but it scares me if it continues to degenerate. What would be next? I mean, you look at the Costco people, you go, God help us. what is that a precursor to?
Right.
And that's the scary thing.
Well, you only have to do something.
I mean, there's people now that are reviewing McDonald's. Like, there's people that go to the gas stations and eat.
The guy who makes food in the bathroom and like,
Oh,
It's-
yeah. They make them in a sink.
Yeah.
with
I
a
mean,
sous vide.
there's-
That's so disgusting.
something's wrong. It's time for the orbs. There's a lot of stuff like that now where you look at it and you go, this is really base level, gross stuff.
When my kid was young, my youngest was like 9. She was really into watching people eat on YouTube.
Right.
Mukbang.
It's huge. My little cousins are. Have you ever seen Lower Middle Class Mom? And they're just feeding their kids poison. And every comment is like, stop feeding your kids this. And she's like, get ready with me. And then she just buys frozen food and cooks it and, chops it and puts it in little lunch boxes. And these little monster kids grab it with their mitt and they just head out. And, it's weird that they're doing stuff like this. You got to play. I mean,
There's one.
Look at this. Look at this.
Lazy dinner for my middle class family of 7.
Joe, this is a cooking video. She's plating Kentucky Fried Chicken she got. She's plating
They asked
fast
me for
food.
16 and I got the chicken pot pie. We used a coupon for a 10-piece dark meat for $13.99. Each of the kids are going to get a chicken leg. We got 2 sides of mashed potatoes and gravy.
See, I'm torn here because I really do enjoy Kentucky Fried Chicken.
It is good, but
Little
this
gravy.
is odd that this is happening.
It is odd that she's like dishing this out and anybody gives a fuck. That's very strange.
What's strange. And I think people are watching it because there is this weird factor of like, people are kind of fascinated by this American diet of processed food.
That's true too.
And I think people are interested in it because when people come from other countries, they're not aware of it. Or I mean, when people are watching stuff from other places,
Right.
the strawberries, that evens it out. But she,
It's healthy.
So I think stuff like this interests people, and it kind of they look at it and they're curious, and it's voyeurism. They kind
Well,
of
there's also a thing there that you're watching where there's a person who doesn't have a lot of money,
Right.
who's feeding their kids.
that's right. And she goes, she can do it. Maybe I can do it.
Well, there's a feeling, a weird, like when you're watching that, like that's a person who's barely getting by. They're barely getting by, right?
Right.
They don't have like a significant amount of savings. They're not
No.
doing well with their career.
Right.
They're just trying to keep alive kids
Right.
at a cheap price.
Yes.
And so they're showing you how they're doling out the food.
I know.
I mean,
yeah. But
it's part of that.
I prefer like the Rolling Stones to that.
Yes.
You know what I
But
mean?
you know what
Like,
I like?
I prefer like the movie Heat to that. Like, I don't want to watch you barely keep your kids alive with Kentucky Fried Chicken. It would be nice to have better things.
I don't, but we just watched it, and you told me about it, and that's why we watched it, and
Yes,
that's
but
giving
it's
them
my,
more attention.
It's my,
You're protesting. It's
I'm
protest vote.
protesting, but it's like I'm also not a I'm not above any of the things I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We're all human beings. I'm just noticing that they're probably negative.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not tempted to watch this stuff. I'm not saying I'm not fascinated by it. We're all kind of weirdly, oddly fascinated by it. I'm not saying I'm better than somebody that watches it because I'm watching it. I'm just going, I think it's probably negative. I think when mediocrity and stuff like that rises in the culture, it's not an overall net positive.
No.
When everybody's chasing fame, which is a very unstable thing that is, strange and ultimately, it's a bad goal system to have. So I think when kids are growing up and they're watching this stuff and they're going, oh, I should just be internet famous and that's how I'll make my money.
Well, you know that's like a giant goal among kids today.
It's huge.
Like as far as like job aspiration, influencers very high on the list.
Do your kids know how like well known you are, or do you think they don't?
It would be amazing if they didn't.
Well, I don't know. I'm
That'd
sure
be pretty
yeah,
amazing.
but they know.
Yeah, they know.
Okay.
They're super aware. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a freak. When I go places,
And
it's-
people
it's
just come
weird.
up to you, and
Yeah,
it's a whole thing.
Yeah. most people are real nice.
Right.
So it's not a real problem. It's
Right.
just like most people are just being nice. And
Right.
that's fine. And most people are super respectful when you're with your family.
Of
They
course.
don't try to take too much of your time.
Right.
You know, it's what comes with the job.
Not my people.
Yeah.
They want my time.
Yeah, well, they want my time too.
Because I
but
don't have a family,
you
so
don't
I'm
have a
just
family.
sitting there alone. They go,
Yeah. They'll sit right next to you.
and they'll point to their girlfriend and they'll go, tell her how the Clintons fuck kids. Tell her. I keep telling her. She doesn't believe me. Tell her.
No one suffers more than the girlfriends of our fans.
I mean, one woman
No
came
one.
to me and she said, I think you're really funny. And she goes, but every day I hear either Joe Rogan's voice, Theo Von's voice, your voice.
Yeah.
And she goes, I just want it to stop. And sometimes she goes, sometimes she'll go like, I'll wake up and you're like yelling about something in my house. And my boyfriend's laughing. He goes, it's really funny. And she goes, why are you? And he goes, no, he's screaming about his some waitress at a diner and ripped him off. And she goes, make it stop. Turn it off. Why are we listening to this? Why are we listening?
Well, ladies, you have your true crime shows.
You have
This is
them.
what this is what we need as I could say this as men for sure,
Yeah.
and certainly as comedians, and including a lot of comedian females. We need to talk shit.
Yeah.
It's very fun, and
Right.
it makes life enjoyable. It makes life make more sense. The
Right.
drones freak me out. Talking about you or to you
Yeah.
rather about the drones
Yeah.
makes me laugh.
It's fun.
I would rather talk shit about what's going on in Ukraine and laugh with you than really stay up at night
Thinking
freaking
about
out
it,
about the fact
freaking
that we
out.
might be.
Because some people's job is to freak out. That's not our job.
I don't want to freak out.
Somebody in the Cheyenne Mountain, whatever, military
Right.
underground base, their job's to be like following dots or.
Yeah. Why is that one up in the sky for 5 hours?
Right, to go
Is
what
that
is.
hours?
And I'm wondering, like, if Cheyenne Mountain Base, if they're like, are they all scrambling, like, what's going on? Or if you went down there, are they just like drinking coffee, like bored, going like, yeah, what does this drill end in 2 days?
Well, I can tell you from the people that I know, so I've been able to talk to some very important people. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on.
That's so fucking weird.
That's what's weird. And there's
That's weird.
a bunch of different theories, and all of them are not good.
None of them are comforting.
The big one is the coming off the water one is a real bad one.
Yeah.
And this is like this seems like not that big of a deal, but it is a big deal when you realize like how are you fitting 50 suburban sized drones on a ship? And you're maintaining them on that ship? Are you charging them on that ship? Like what kind of an energy source are they using? How are they up in the sky for 5 hours? How do they go 50 miles out to sea to wherever the fuck this thing is that they're launching from? Are they transmedium? That means, do you have a craft that's able to go into the water? And is there something in the water that's launching them? Do you have a giant military base under the water that I don't know about? Like, or does someone else have some sort of an enormous fucking underwater submarine that's capable of holding these things on it, and we don't know it's there? That's terrifying too. So, is it ours?
Someone's got to know.
Someone has to know.
Someone knows. And now it's not maybe someone that you've spoken to, but there's someone somewhere that's got to know.
I bet it's very, very high up on the.
We're
food
talking
chain.
about like the Men in Black, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not even one of the agencies. Like, we've all heard of like the CIA, the NSA. This is probably
Right.
like one smart guy told me once. He goes, I go, what's the highest top? I was like the CIA, and he laughed, and I go, why are you saying that? He goes, you are saying they're the highest top, but he goes, you've heard of them. He goes, the deepest stuff is you don't even know. You've never heard of it. Jeez. The deepest stuff you've never heard of. He goes, you know what the CIA is, you know what the NSA is. He goes, there are things you have no idea what they are. So I don't know what's going on.
I genuinely hope it's UFOs.
I hope it's UFOs because maybe they're coming to help us
Or stop
and
us.
put the Costco family in jail.
Stop us.
Stop us from the nuclear war.
Yeah, stop us
Maybe
from...
China and us are about to have a nuclear war, and these aliens have landed, and they're like, cut it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Like an adult showing up at the playground when two kids are about to fight. Like, hey,
Yeah.
settle the fuck down.
Settle it down.
This is so stupid. And you guys are lying about why you're doing this in the first place.
Right.
I think that if I was an alien race and I wanted people to get accustomed to the idea that they're being visited, I would do this. I would do exactly what they're doing. I'd have things that behave like drones, and they hover over the sky for a preposterous amount of time, way more than our drones can do. No heat signature, but they still move and behave like drones, and they're not doing anything, so we assume they're drones. So you get people comfortable with the idea of things in the sky all the time. Then you make them a little more complex. You have a few of them that come by that don't make any sense. You have a few that are mixed in with these other drones that are doing things like that one in Arizona that shoots off into the sky. You have a few, and then you keep ramping that up. You slowly trickle it in. Instead of having some fucking 3-mile long craft that's built like a boomerang hover over Washington, D.C., instead of having that, you slowly get people accustomed to the idea that there's things in the sky that you can't explain and no one can explain. And then you just ramp it up. And then you have more disclosure conversations with Congress. You have more people coming out that are whistleblowers, like those guys that said when the David Grush hearings were going on and those 3 guys that we're talking to, do we have crashed vehicles? They all said yes. Are they of this world? They all said no.
Right.
So are these guys just liars?
No.
Are they going to
we
jail?
know the aliens are there.
So if we not only know the aliens are there, but we have a crash retrieval program, if that's real, first of all, why are they crashing? Why are so many of them crashing?
Remember when Annie Jacobson is the one thing that didn't make any sense? She said like Roswell. She said it was like they flew a midget.
Yeah.
Who had a weird disease, so he looked like an alien to scare everyone.
Yeah,
here's the Soviets. That was like weird. I was like, what is that? I love Helix mattresses. Everybody that visits me always asks what kind of mattresses people are sleeping on. I believe if you were kidnapped and you were sleeping on a Helix mattress, you wouldn't even care. You would literally say to your kidnapper, why is it so comfortable? And he'd say, it's probably the Midnight Deluxe from Helix. My sleep has improved dramatically. Many people I know have had the same experience. What you should do is take their very short quiz, and they will find out what kind of sleeper you are, and they will match you and the way you sleep with a mattress that is perfect for you. And I'm telling you, 20% off plus 2 free pillows for all mattress orders. HelixSleep.com/TimD. I mean, you're crazy to not. This is the best Christmas present you can give to anyone. Your spouse, your children, anyone, truly. I love it. I will never sleep on another mattress. Everybody sleeping on another mattress right now is sick, and that's not an accident. Go to helix.com/TimD, 20% off plus 2 free pillows for all mattress orders. Helix.com/TimD. Men, when we leave the house, it's phone, wallet, keys, how does my hair look? But if you're experiencing hair loss, you may not be so confident when you step outside your door. It's time to get that confidence back and restore your hair. With Hims, nobody wants to lose hair, but for men, it's actually very common. And now with Hims, the solution is simple. Try Hims Hair Loss Solutions, and you'll be joining hundreds of thousands of subscribers to get their flow back. The only thing worse than losing your hair forever is waiting for it to grow back. That's why you need Hims. You can start seeing your hair grow back in as little as 3 to 6 months. I have lots of friends that are using this, and it's very successful. You answer a few questions. A medical provider will determine if this treatment is right for you, and if prescribed, your treatment is sent direct to you in discreet packaging for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Hims has hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, so they can help get your confidence back with visibly thicker and fuller hair. This is a great product, and it's a great way to support the show. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/TIM. That's HIMS.com/TIM for your personalized hair loss treatment now. HIMS.com/TIM. Results vary based on studies on topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Isn't it funny how the people we love are most often the hardest to shop for? Luckily, there's one gift that everyone on your list is sure to enjoy, an Aura digital picture frame. Named number 1 by Wirecutter, Aura frames make it incredibly easy to share unlimited photos and videos directly from your phone right to the frame. And when you give an Aura frame as a gift, you can personalize it and preload it with a thoughtful message and photos using the Aura app, making it an ideal present for long-distance loved ones. It's a gift so special, they'll use it every day. Save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get 35% off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code TIM at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code Tim. What's great about these frames is it's a digital picture frame. It's so easy to use. You can upload a bunch of different photos. And so instead of having one photo, you have digitally all kinds of different photos. Oh, look, that's the time we were at the lake. That's what people are going to be saying and then that one goes away. And then people are going to go, look how, when you were young, they'll call the degenerate drug addict over and they go, look, when you were young, wasn't that fun when you were young? Before you started stealing everyone's money and doing crack? $35 off. Use code TIM. Save on the perfect holiday gift this holiday season. That's when we were at the lake. Remember that on the boat? It was so fun at the lake. Before you became friends with those people, I told you not to be friends with them. And now look where we are. You're 3 days out of rehab and we got problems again. Because they're calling you again, and I told you I don't want you hanging out with them because we know what happens when you hang out with them. Look at this photo of yourself when you were happy at the lake before you shaved your head and dyed the remaining hair you had purple and you started to cut yourself. Save on the perfect gift this holiday season. Exclusive 35% off Carver mat at auraframes.com. Use code TIM at checkout to save. I'm telling you to look at the photo. I want you to look at it because you're going to feel something. Look how happy you were. You were such a happy little girl. Look how happy you were. And I want you not to be on your phone all day. I think that's why you're on drugs. Because what you're looking at on your phone isn't making you happy. Save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get 35% off best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code Tim at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code Tim. This deal is exclusive to listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply. It is a great thing to have different photos to remind people of different beautiful times in their life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of different stories that came out of Roswell because Roswell was too long ago. You know, Roswell's like, what did Jesus say to Matthew? Are you sure? That's what he said? Were you there? Roswell's 1947.
Right.
That's so long ago, man.
Right.
Everybody's dead. And also, it became a cultural focal point where the town has like alien merchandise everywhere. It's become like a part of the lore of the town. So it's tainted. The story, the purity of the story is tainted. But the people that were involved in the story initially, when they talked about it afterwards, that's what's compelling. When you find out that they printed in the newspaper that they had a crashed flying saucer and that they took the rubble or the wreckage from this and flew it to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in 2 separate jets in case one of them crashed, and then Truman met them there. And then when you find out that they were informed that they were supposed to do a press conference and show some wreckage from an obvious weather balloon and claim that this is what they found. And so you have this guy who's standing there. Is that Marcel? I think it's Jesse Marcel. You have him standing there, and they're holding this stuff that doesn't look anything like a flying disc. And they were informed that they were supposed to say this. And this is what he said later on in his life, that they told him to have this press conference and they told him to explain it away, but that they didn't know what the fuck that was. They didn't know what it was, and that whatever it was, they had recovered some pieces of it, and you could take those pieces of it, and it was like a metal, but you could take this metal and you could crush it like a ball and then let it go, and it would immediately go back to what it was.
Right.
They don't know what it was made out of. They found these beams, some part of the wreckage that had writing on it. And they describe this writing as looking like an ancient language or hieroglyphics, like very, very strange writing. Like people have drawn images of what this writing looks like. Those stories are all very interesting to me because these are the people that had direct contact with the materials and were actually there. And their version of the story is they can't explain what the fuck that thing was. But the military was very interested in what that thing was. I believe that if that actually was a weather balloon, they wouldn't care at all. You certainly wouldn't have Wright-Patterson Air Force Base on standby, Truman meeting them there, 2 jets flying the wreckage to make sure they don't wreck. All that stuff is very interesting to me. And the stories from the Bible, the stories from, I mean, if you read Jacques Vallée's book on UFOs, there's stories that are from the 1700s, the 1800s. They're all really fucking similar. If I was an intelligent life force from somewhere else and I knew that there was these fucking psychotic monkeys down there with nuclear weapons and TikTok accounts, and these motherfuckers are building an AI that is probably going to be smarter than them in a year. They're building quantum computers. They've got nukes pointed at each other. You got to watch these fucks.
You do.
You got to watch them, especially if we're going through like a transition that every species goes through. Like maybe every species goes from you become warlike to control your environment and so that you're safe. You're still emerging from these primitive primates, so you still have these savage instincts. As time goes on, you develop technology and resources and agriculture and all these different things to sustain large populations of safe people where they don't have to think about hunting and gathering, and they can figure out technology.
Right.
And that over time, if you just let them keep going and don't let them blow themselves up. And when did the UFOs really start showing up? I mean, the reason why the mothership is called Fat Man and Little Boy is because in UFO folklore, that's when all the ships arrived. That's when the Kenneth Arnold sightings, when when they were over the White House. That's all right after World War II, right after the nukes got dropped, which completely makes sense.
Right.
Like that would be a point where they would have to step in and go, hey.
Right.
Let's let you know there's something way more powerful than you fucking crazy apes.
Right.
And if you play your cards right, you'll be us one day.
Right.
But if you nuke it, it starts from scratch, and now you're back to microbes and single-celled organisms and a molten planet. You know,
Right.
and then it has to take a couple billion years to cool. And
Right.
I mean, who knows what we could
It
do?
sets you back.
We might kill all life on the planet. We might turn this planet into a dead rock. I don't know what happens when all the nukes get detonated. I know it kills every person.
Right.
Every person. There's enough nukes to kill everyone, all of us, the whole world. That's so crazy. And if you were from another planet or a more advanced intelligent
That would
species,
concern you.
yeah. I mean, maybe they evolved in a completely different way where they didn't have to go through this violence that we go through. If you asked anybody today, what's the possibility in your lifetime there would be no war? Nobody says that's going to happen.
Right.
That's kind of nuts. That as
Right.
technologically advanced as we are, as
It's
good
just
as,
such an accepted reality that there's always going to be a war somewhere.
and it's always going to be groups of people that are told to go somewhere and kill people they don't know.
Right.
Because they have leaders.
And it's amazing that China and us can't share, you know, like that there
Prosperity.
has to be
Yeah.
a winner and there has to be somebody on top.
Well, if you're a mob leader,
Yeah.
okay, and there's another guy on the other side of town, and he runs that side of town.
That's right.
And you've always had a good relationship. The families have always been, you sit down, you
Right,
have pasta on Sunday,
right.
you talk about business, but then one guy from your group goes over there and gets killed.
Right.
And then they lie and say that your guy killed them.
Right.
And then they start sending another guy dies. And then they lie about that. And then you know they lied about that. And then all of a sudden, you're not working together anymore. This guy wants more money for the shipments. Our
Right.
guys are at the fucking docks.
And it just
while
goes- it
you're
gets
sitting
bad.
in your fucking penthouse. And then you have violence and you have
Right.
chaos. But if the families are working together, everybody's making money.
Right.
There's 1 billion Chinese people. There's 330 million Americans. There's plenty of people to make money off of. Sell them stuff. Do the things
Well,
that
that's the
you've
other
always
thing
been
I
doing
think
that's
that
profitable.
that's what I always hoped would dissuade a conflict was that there's so much economic opportunity.
Yes, we don't want to. If we
Yeah.
boycotted Chinese products,
No.
oh my god,
No.
we'd be so fucked.
Yeah, no,
we'd
it's-
be so fucked. But we got to make it so that we can all share this idea that one person's not saying it, but secretly trying to overthrow governments. You know what I mean?
Well,
And
that's the whole thing.
Part of the problem.
That's part of the problem.
And this is what I think the deep state really is scared about with Trump, because
Yeah.
he genuinely wants to stop the wars. Like he's
Right.
openly saying it.
Yes.
That we've got to stop people from dying.
Right.
That shouldn't be controversial. That
No.
shouldn't be something that the left opposes.
They also don't like that he can't be controlled.
Right.
And they have, for a very long time, used people's secrets and vulnerabilities to control them.
And financial.
Right.
The fact that he paid for the entire campaign himself.
Right.
That's different. Like, it did or funded it or had, figured out how to get
There
money.
are...
It's different.
There's an accepted practice of how that town runs and how the world runs. And they don't like the idea that they can't control people.
It's just dangerous to let people continue to control people when the entire country is set up to have a limited amount of control for a limited amount of time so that the will of the people is met.
Right.
That was the idea behind it when they first started. Is the idea to prevent tyranny.
Right.
To not have some person stay in for more than 2 terms. There's a bunch of different fail shit. You got the House, you got the Senate, you got a bunch of you got the Supreme Court, decide over things. They're appointed for life. You got a lot of things that are set in place, a lot of amendments and these things that are set in place to protect your rights. You can't fuck with those. Because the moment you do just to have your team win, you set it up where we're living in chaos. We're living in hell. There's never been a fucking socialist, Marxist, Leninist country ever that worked out. It's like this, and it's all coming from institutions like universities that are living in fantasy land. They're all fucking...
Well, they all just want to reorder this hierarchy and put themselves on top.
Yeah.
And they want to elevate mediocre people.
Yeah.
And, and that there's always a ulterior motive for whatever they say. One of the things that's encouraging over the last couple of years is that people culturally have begun to see through it.
Yeah.
They know what it is. They know what it is.
More now than I think ever before
More
because
now
of COVID.
than ever.
I think COVID woke a lot of people up.
Woke a lot of people up. And I think people are looking at all this stuff and they're going, if it feels irrational, it is.
Yeah.
You have a gut, you have instincts, you can trust them. If it sounds insane, it is.
It is. And for sure, these people that are telling you that everything is perfect and everything works amazing and everything is excellent and stop listening to the people that are saying differently, they're not telling you the truth. There's no way they can be. There's no way they can be about anything. Fill in the blank, whatever subject we're talking about. Pharmaceutical drugs, whether we're talking about the environment, whether we're talking about energy. No one's telling you the truth.
What do you think about this kid who shot the CEO? Do you think he'll get convicted?
Well, it's pretty obvious that he shot him, if that's the guy. I mean, there's a video of him doing it. Was he denied a claim or was someone near him denied a claim?
He had these back problems. United Healthcare was not his healthcare provider, but they are the biggest, I believe, and they deny the most claims. And the target is interesting that he chose that guy. I guess he chose him as a symbol of the inequity in the healthcare system and how fucked up it is. It is a fucked up system.
Why wouldn't he go after a CEO of the company that actually
That's
denied
a
him?
great question, and that's a question that people are asking.
Was he mentally ill? Well, obviously. To be able to do that, you have to be at least at some level mentally
he was
ill.
a smart guy who had an Ivy League education and a wealthy family, but apparently he had maybe had a psychic break in the last 3 or 4 months where he was writing manifestos and reading a lot of Unabomber stuff. And
Really?
Yeah.
Unabomber?
yeah, he was a big fan of Ted Kaczynski. And he he disappeared for like 3 or 4 months. His family was looking for him. Friends of his were looking for him. He went to some commune in Hawaii. And there's actually a video of the guy in Hawaii that was like, we let everyone in that has love in their heart. And Luigi had love in his heart, So I think he was like hanging out with them. And this back problem was very, disruptive. It fucked his life up.
What happened to his back?
I don't know. He had a something.
Did he get fused?
I don't know if he got fused, but I know that
I saw some
there was a back issue.
X-ray images on like a clickbait YouTube video that was talking about his healthcare claim.
Yeah, there was I think his profile picture was like his back. He had like some surgery. So maybe you're right. That's
a scary one. When you get surgery on your back, I don't know anybody who's gotten surgery on their back where it made it feel so much better.
Right.
It's a very troublesome area to work on. I do know people that have gotten artificial discs, particularly in their neck, and it worked out really well.
Right.
Yeah, there's people.
My grandmother had a pig valve in her heart.
That's in his header photo, so people assume that's him. And
That's his
like,
low back.
That's again.
Yeah.
It might not be him. It's just a picture he posted, but that'd be a weird thing to do. Too.
So those are screws, right?
Yeah, that means he got his discs fused in his low back. So what happens when you do that, especially if you look at that young man, he's very jacked and active. What happens is now the disc above that is going to get an unusual leverage on it, right? It's not moving the same way because all of them are supposed to articulate together. So all the discs,
Right.
so you have discs and then you have your spinal column, so you have these bones and the discs, right? And the discs are mushy and they're supposed to you're supposed to have muscles around those bones so it stabilizes everything and everything kind of moves and bends and becomes pliable. As soon as you have a bunch of them that don't move anymore, now this area is going to take a lot of pressure.
What do we think?
And a lot of times people have to get that one fused.
Do we think
too.
he had an injury? Is that what would make something?
I believe he did. Yeah, I believe he did. But that's a really common place to get your back injured. There's if anyone's listening and this is happening to you, there's other different ways that, and I'm not saying that some people don't need back surgery. I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying that I know of many people that were considering back surgery that found alternative methods to heal their back, and they didn't need to be fused.
Yeah.
Some people are bone on bone. And those are the people that are the best candidates. Those people have been suffering for a long time. They're the best candidates for these articulating titanium discs.
Right.
My buddy Eddie has one in his back. I have a couple friends that have them in their necks. I know 4 UFC fighters that have them in their necks. So they take your shitty disc out, and a lot of these guys are experiencing like crazy pain, like elbow pain, atrophy of their muscles because their nerves are pinched. They put this disc in. Instant relief.
Right.
Then I know some other people that have done it and they're still struggling.
What do you think about the reaction to it when people were kind of cheering?
It was wild, but it's to be expected. There's this anti-corporate sentiment in this country. There's this anti-capitalism sentiment in this country. This is at the root of like when a lot of it coincides with like the Free Palestine people, the BLM people. There's a lot of sentiment in this country. There's a mentality to attack corporations and attack capitalism. And so when someone made a tattoo of this cat.
Did they?
They
Well, the healthcare industry seems like the most depraved industry.
It's very depraved.
Like if you're going to get angry at an industry, it seems like the healthcare industry does fuck over the most people and incentivizes companies to deny care and put profits over humanity.
Yeah.
So that as a target for rage makes a lot of sense. But I also don't think you can have a society where people just go around shooting people in the head.
No, you can't have that. No,
that's not as a society. That's not going to work.
I'll send it to you, Jamie. I found it. But it's also one of those things where it's like you feel cool saying it. Like when Trump didn't die and people are like, he shouldn't have missed. I wish that guy didn't miss.
Right.
Do you really mean that? Because I think it's a thing that people just say. I don't think you really mean that. I don't think you want someone to get assassinated, even if you don't like them. That's crazy.
There's too much.
It's crazy to say.
Loose talk with regard to subjects like that, where people say
Look at this.
things.
Hit the volume.
Oh, he has face tats.
Yeah, but listen to what it's saying.
Hilarious.
And he's got the caduceus on his neck. So he's got the pharmaceutical symbol on his neck, and someone took a photo of that guy.
So much of this is that he's an attractive guy. He's a hot guy.
Very
if he
hot.
wasn't, then
Six-pack.
He was, that I think is, and he was from a rich family, and that I think, as a hero, as a folk hero, there's a romantic quality to that.
There's a little bit of that, especially if he was justified in what he did. You know, like if he himself had a story.
Yeah,
like
I don't know if he does, and that's
Right.
interesting because people have not been able to identify whether he personally, other than his back problem.
There was a woman that I was watching in a video today where she was testifying that she denied someone, she was working for an insurance company, and she denied someone medical care, and she was rewarded for it, and the person wound up dying. And she said she went on to get a better job and make a lot of money, and she was confessing, and she was talking about it, and she was saying that, she feels great guilt that this was just a part of the culture and a part of the job, and she was told she did a good job by saving the company money. And it was just about saving the company money. And they could have provided life-saving health care to this person if they approved that. It would have been expensive. The person would have lived, and she would have probably not been able to get a better job, which is really
This is
sick.
the one industry in which, you know, the capitalist philosophy is challenged in a way that makes the most sense to me, because when you have a 2-year-old who's born with a tumor or a condition, and that child has not existed on Earth long enough to even know what's going on, and his parents don't have the resources to help that child, the idea that we, being such a wealthy country, wouldn't provide care, or that family would have to go bankrupt or lose their house just to try to keep their kid alive, does seem terrible.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane that look, I'm not for socialized medicine. I don't think that that's the best way to do it, because I think you want to incentivize people to be the very best at what they do. And a lot of these badass motherfucking heart surgeons,
Sure.
these badass motherfucking brain surgeons, they want to drive Porsches.
Yeah.
Right? They want to live in a big house. This guy's awesome. He's the best at what he does. All the fucking New York Jets go to him when they want to get their knees done.
Right.
I like those guys.
Right.
Those guys are important. It's important. And gals, I'm not trying to be sexist. Whoever the fuck is the best at what they do, I want those people to be rewarded for it. However, I think that when it comes to health care, if we can spend $175 billion on Ukraine, I think we can provide a safety net for the low-income and middle-income people that would get bankrupted by medical bills that are impossible for them to ever pay.
Right.
You break a leg and you don't have a health insurance, you get hit with a $300,000 bill or whatever it's going to cost. How the fuck? You can't even work for like a year. Like, how long does it take to heal a fucking broken thigh bone?
Well, it's another reason you need to have an immigration policy that makes sense, because if you're going to provide those types of services to people, and we agree that we should,
You can't just let anybody in.
You can't let anyone in. It has to be for a citizen, and there has to be a social contract between a citizen and a government. That's the entire basis of a nation.
Well,
if you don't have that, it's a problem.
But that's definitely true. But let's just say just the citizens. Most citizens are fucked if something really goes wrong.
Right.
And that shouldn't be the case. That doesn't have to be the case.
Right.
If they could print up all this fucking money and send it all over the place for all sorts of different things, they can most certainly provide a national safety net for people. And, it could be a thing like we all accept that there's certain things where socialism works, right? And I always use this example, and I stole it from somebody else. I can't remember who I stole it from, but it's totally true. The fire department. The fire department is a great example of socialism, right? We all agree that you should put out the fucking fire, and we don't want your house to burn down because you don't have any money, because then it's going to burn my house too and everybody else's house. So we all chip in. The fire department gets paid. It's not like they call you, or you call them rather, and say your house is on fire, and they say, "Oh, Mr. Dillon, you don't have fire insurance. We can't send a fire truck." No, the fire truck's there for everybody.
Right.
It's a good example of like necessary socialism.
Sure.
So there's some things that are good socially, and I think that the word socialism is the problem. It's like it should be a part of the community assets, right? Police, education. It should be paid for by the people. It shouldn't only be like you have to be rich to get a private education, because otherwise you're fucked, which is the case.
Yeah, most countries that people call socialist are actually capitalist countries. They have generous welfare states, but they also have a ton of private industry. Some of them, like Norway and stuff, have a lot of oil wealth, and they don't have a Marxist complete, where like there is no private property,
right,
and no private industry,
right.
That's not
nowhere works like that.
Nowhere is going to work.
When you get like that, you get dictators.
And a lot of those smaller socialist countries work and are easy because the populations are relatively homogenous, and they share the same values, and they want the same things.
And they're pretty small.
It's
nothing like
if
United
you have
States.
6 million people and they all look like they're related and they all believe in one culture, and that culture is not about standing out or making lots of money or being innovative. It's about some simple things, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's much easier to have a socialist country than it is to have a country with 300 million people where you have religions from all over the world and different cultures and different values and people that want different things. That's a much tougher country to have that policy.
And it gets really fucking cold in the winter, which kills all the homeless people.
And that's a great idea.
You can't camp out. You can camp out in L.A. all year round.
Oh, you can.
All year round.
For
Obviously,
sure.
people do it. They live for years out there in those tents. They have communities. They're
Right.
huge communities of people living in tents. Try that shit on Iceland.
It does seem to be like we're heading to a direction where we're going to need either a universal basic income.
Yeah.
There has to be some, because AI is coming, automation's here. The Waymo cars go by. You know,
Yep.
you're seeing all of this going, what are these people going to do? What are the gig economy people going to do? They deliver DoorDash. They work. They work at the front desk at a hotel. They're one of the last remaining bank tellers. They work at a fast casual food restaurant. Those people's jobs seem to be hours away from being gone.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way around it. And I think for those people, you know, this whole idea of them finding a new thing to do, some people just aren't designed that way, and they're 50, right? So their whole life they've been, you know, serving drinks to people, and all of a sudden that goes away.
Right.
If you get to a point where the 50% of the jobs that are available right now don't exist anymore, like we are all the manager at Blockbuster Video,
Right.
that's not outside of the realm of possibility, because most of these jobs didn't exist 200 years ago. The idea that some new groundbreaking technology would eliminate the need for manual labor across, you know, pretty much every industry you can imagine, especially cars. Like, if they can figure out the autonomous driving car thing, and they're pretty good at it. I was watching a video where these ladies went to the airport in one of those Waymo things.
Yeah.
Seemed fucking normal.
Right.
They were just complaining the seatbelts were too small. But other than that, you're sitting in the back seat, and I guess the seatbelts lock in on you.
Yeah.
But it works. It works. The fucking driverless car. I photographed one the other day, or videoed on my Instagram, driving around Austin.
Yeah.
Jaguar.
Yeah.
Just driving around. They work. So if that's the 2024 version of that thing, what's the 2028 version like?
Right.
What does the Tesla look like in 2030?
You can download an app now, and I think it's Hilton or one of these hotels, and open the door to your room with a QR code and never see a person. Not go to a front desk.
Right.
Not check in.
Right.
Everything's digital. You go in, you can order food to your room on an app. I mean, you don't have to pick up a phone and call room service. You don't have to. So you're eliminating so many jobs that, and listen, high-end hotels where people want more service and they're able to pay for it will kind of keep those positions. But if your kid's got a fucking soccer game and you're going to Tulsa and you just want to, it makes so much sense in the world to go, yeah, we're all booked. Scan, get in the rooms.
Yeah.
We don't need anything here. And you could run an entire hotel with almost nobody. Couple of security guards, maybe one manager. Like,
not only that, but if they can use fighter jets, and they have autonomous fighter jets that beat all the regular fighter jet pilots in simulated combat 100% of the time, why wouldn't they have that for flights?
right,
You probably don't need pilots anymore.
right.
If that thing knows how to take off and knows how to land, I can
maybe you want
summon my
one
car.
pilot.
I can summon my car.
That's crazy.
Like if I'm in a parking lot and I want my car to come to the front, if I park back there, I can summon it.
Yeah,
It'll come to get me.
that's crazy.
That's nuts. And then I can press the address and I'll say, take me home. And it
Right.
just takes me home.
Right.
Full navigation, stops at red lights, puts its blinker on when it changes lanes, recognizes where traffic is, goes around it.
Right.
We're so close to not needing drivers. And then that's going to be great for the government. They could just shut your fucking car down, and all the rebels are going to have like old Ford pickup trucks and shit
Right.
with carburetors.
Right.
Because you're going to, like, that's what Tucker drives. You ever
Right.
see Tucker's car?
Yeah.
He drives no navigation, no
Right.
GPS, no nothing.
Right.
I never send him like Instagram stories or something because
Yeah.
he doesn't even have it.
No,
He doesn't look at any of that stuff.
he doesn't. It's kind
healthy.
of cool.
It's the way to do it.
It's the way to do it.
I'm pretty close to that.
He doesn't know who the Costco family is.
Yeah, I'm not close to that because I do go on Instagram a lot, and I really like to go on YouTube. YouTube's my favorite.
There's something about being a comic. You want to see what's going on.
Well, it's also like YouTube for me is a nice escape.
Yeah.
I get to watch a video about an ancient civilization, or watch a guy go hunt bucks in the forest, or watch, a professional pool game.
Right.
To me, it's like just entertainment. And,
Right.
But the social media thing, man, I just think most people are not cut out for it. I think it's bad for you. I think it makes you think you're in conflict all the time. Everybody's always arguing about stuff. People are dunking on each other. I think it accentuates mental illness. I've known people that I'm friends with, and I can't even talk to them anymore because of their tweets.
Australia just banned social media for kids under 16.
Whoa. That would be a problem in my house.
They're done. They go, we're not doing it anymore.
Wow.
They said increase in mental health issues, increase in depression, increase in, I believe suicide and things like that. Like
they're going to just use that as an excuse to go door to door. We've heard your child's been talking. We'd like to have him come out here and bring the phone.
Word with you. But
Please
I
open your phone.
I do think that's probably a good idea overall.
Sort of. I think everybody's got to adapt, and you just got to develop discipline, and you got to develop the ability to recognize you're drinking too much. Bob, you're drinking 7 drinks a night. That's too much. Okay. I own a bar. I don't drink every night. You don't have to be on that fucking thing all the time.
But Bob wants those 7 drinks.
There's a lot of morons.
Yeah.
You're always going to have that. Just like you're always going to have people that do stupid shit. It's just a part of being a human being, and part of being a human being is learning from other people doing stupid shit. And I like to think that social media is exactly like everything else in life. When I see people doing things that resonate with me, like, oh, that seems crazy. Like, why are you arguing all the time? Like, what kind of life is that? How can you be happy?
Right.
Is like the budget that much of a concern for you that
Right.
you're fucking screaming about it 8 hours a day? Is that
Right.
really your life, or is
Right.
this bad for you?
Right.
And just go, okay, listen, don't do that. Oh, that guy's doing coke every night, and now he lost his job, and he's
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Oh, this guy, is fucking driving drunk every night, and now he killed a family. Oh,
Yeah.
don't do that. Yeah, it's like people have to do awful things around you so that you realize the consequences of awful things. It's like when I was in high school, this kid that I knew killed his friend in a drunk driving accident. And I remember running into him on the street like maybe 10 months later. And I ran into him, and I said, hey, man, what's up? He's like, so, just looking down on the ground, just deep shame and horrible feeling. And
Right.
I remember thinking at that time, fuck driving drunk, man.
Right.
Fuck that. That's so bad. It's so dangerous to be hammered on the road and kill your friend.
Right.
And so many people have gotten away with it. So many people have driven drunk and gotten away with it. It's just, when you have drinking is such a weird thing because you go to a place to drink. How'd you get there? Are you Ubering? Most kids today are Ubering, which is really wise.
Right.
They're smart. We're drinking. We're going to go Uber. But
Yeah.
old school people never Ubered.
No, they drove.
They drove. And they drove
drove.
hammered. And it's trying to tell someone not to drive when they're drunk is one of the most frustrating and also scary things.
Right.
Because you're like, this motherfucker is hammered, and they're about to just get on the road.
And they're about to go and potentially hurt themselves and hurt other people.
I remember we were in Malibu once, and this fucking guy and his friend were like play fighting, and they started throwing water bottles at each other, and everybody got upset. It was like a tense moment where you're like, these guys were out of control. One guy was clearly hammered, and then his car pulled up, and he just got in and drove off. And I was like, wow.
Right.
I'm like, that guy is sauced.
It's crazy.
Sauced. And he was on the PCH, which is like the most deadly highway.
It's terrible.
It's a terrible
People
highway.
live there, and they have all those houses right on the beach, and then they back out. And
Crazy.
People die every year. People
plow into them. There's so
Wow.
many people that are on their phone and they don't pay attention, and they look down to grab something, lipstick or something, and then boom.
Yeah.
You're going 50 miles an hour into someone's Jaguar.
It's crazy. It's
Yeah,
a terrible place to drive.
That road kills a lot of people every year. Isn't that where Caitlyn Jenner, before she was Caitlyn, whacked
That's
that
where
lady?
she killed that woman.
Yeah, a lot of people die on that road. It's a sketchy road, and people drive fast. And it's,
Got to be careful.
It's on the coast, too, which is a distraction. Oh, look at all the
It's
beautiful
pretty.
ocean.
You're looking
So
at the
beautiful.
water, and then
Boom.
all of a sudden, and that's one of the worst things in the world. I think is the level of distraction out there.
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
Especially with phones. How many times have you been on the highway?
Crazy.
You see someone weaving in and out of lanes, and
Yep.
you look down, and they're texting while they're driving.
It's terrifying that you've got kids out there, old people, regular people. Everybody's on these phones driving at 100 miles an hour.
The best thing ever is CarPlay.
Yeah.
I've never used the Android CarPlay, but I use Apple CarPlay all the time. It's
Yeah.
fucking great.
Yeah.
You can talk to it. You never have to take your hand out. Hey Siri,
right.
text
Play-
Tim Dillon.
right, play
What would
a
you like to
song.
say? Yeah.
Right, right.
Hey Siri, play this.
Right.
It fucking works great.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's listening to you 24/7 for you to say,
Sure.
"Here, Siri." So it's
They're
going to get
all
a few
listening.
things that you said that are maybe unfortunate.
Tell the orb what I said.
yeah, tell the
Tell the
orb it's
orb.
really just a star.
So you're not freaked. You're like we're it's just what it is. We're just gotta deal with whatever it is, whether it's an alien invasion or a War of the Worlds. Or
I certainly could get freaked out if I wanted to.
I know sometimes I get freaked, but then I gotta realize it's just there's nothing you can really do about
There's
it. You have to
nothing.
enjoy your life.
There's nothing. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
There's some people like Ryan Graves. He's got some UAP investigation thing they're doing. They think that they can find out what these things are, find out where they're coming from, and get answers. Great. I'm glad. But right now, I don't have any answers, so
Do you
I
think
can't
Elon
freak out.
knows?
If he knows, he's not saying shit.
Right.
That's very odd that he hasn't commented on the drones.
He's not saying anything.
Not a peep publicly.
And I think because if it is something super serious with national security, he can't.
He can't.
Right.
He's got contracts with the Defense Department.
Right.
I mean, he makes SpaceX.
Right.
He makes rockets. He can't.
Right.
He can't talk crazy.
Of course.
Not about that.
Right.
And if he didn't though, he'd be the guy to talk to. Like, what do you think is going on here? Like, how are these things able to? Like, what is the at least theoretical technology that would allow them to hover for 5 hours in the sky and not give off a heat signature? What would be the thing that would allow them to shut their lights off when incoming jets?
Well, that's
are
why
trying to
he's the
find
most
them?
interesting guy to hear talk about it because he knows the most about this stuff.
100%.
As a public person that could
He's an
analyze
engineer.
it.
He's an actual engineer.
Right,
Yeah.
and then just kind of go, hey, this is what's happening and how it's happening.
Well, this is where you could show, where you could see how crazy people are today.
Yeah.
When they mock his intelligence.
Yeah, you don't have to agree with him. You don't have to like him, but to say he's an idiot, I mean, you can't say he's an idiot.
I've heard he's
crazy,
a dumb person's version of a smart person. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, what is your version? 'Cause
Yeah,
you have
no, it's
such high
psychotic.
standards.
Right.
It's like, one of those guys that sees like the hottest woman in the world and like, pfft,
Well, there's also
She's a six.
it's like Trump isn't funny. What are you talking about? Of course
Right.
he's funny. Like, I think part of the problem is people can't understand this duality, like
Yeah.
not agreeing with someone, but also, acknowledging that they have an appeal or that they're intelligent or that they're funny or that they're whatever it is. And to me, I think true maturity is if you don't like someone, still recognizing that that person has value, even though you personally are repulsed by them.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Be objective. Be objective. And don't be ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are just ridiculous. And they have a narrative in their head and they want to run with it no matter what. Have you seen
Absolutely.
have you seen the controversy about Miss France?
No.
Okay.
Is it a dude?
No. No. Luckily, right?
Well, I'm
I
shocked
know.
it's not.
I could see how you'd be upset
Yeah.
on that one.
Sure.
But no, it's a black lady.
Oh, they're mad
they're
at that?
comparing and they're comparing her to these other women. The problem is she's fucking beautiful.
Right. Is
Like,
she not
she's-
as hot as Brigitte Macron?
She's really beautiful. Like, and they're trying to find like photos of her where she's like crying or some weird angle.
And is it just racism? They're just pissed?
I think it's a thing where you're pushing back against DEI so much that you
That-
see it even in places where you go,
Where it's not there.
well, what is a beauty pageant in the first place, right?
That's
There's a
right.
bunch of things they judge you on. They judge you on, I think you have to give a speech, right?
Right.
You have interests, you have
Yes.
skills.
Yes.
There's a bunch of different things. And then it's what you look like.
Right.
So
The question and answer portion.
if you have all those things but you look like shit, I get it because it's supposed to be a beauty pageant. I get it. But if you have those things and you're beautiful and you're upset because it doesn't represent France because it's white, well, a lot of black people live in France. Like,
Right.
France is not really
Right.
a completely white country. Like, there's citizens of
It's also,
France.
if DEI is to exist, let's have it in beauty pageants.
Well, see what
I
this
don't
girl.
want it in
I
the
only see the
cockpit of
controversy
a...
being that she's 34.
Well, that is disgusting.
That
She's
they
too old?
They changed the age 2 years ago to allow women over 24 years
Well,
old.
that is,
Okay,
by the way,
married
that
women
is
to come in.
disgusting.
Okay,
She's
but
34 years old.
but
It's disgusting.
That's crazy. Show what she looks like.
I mean, I just
Yeah.
typed in Miss France and that's all it comes
Just give me some images of what she looks like. She's
very pretty.
She's fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
And if you see her on stage, she looks fantastic. Like if you see her when she won, the idea that this lady is not capable of winning a beauty pageant anywhere in the world is crazy. If you're just judging on beauty, there's different types of beauty. There's redheaded, white, freckle beauty. There's Brazilian, hot, tan beauty. There's Asian beauty. There's all kinds of different beauty. That woman's fucking beautiful.
It's reactionary stuff where people are just angry at this concept.
Well, the thing is, there have been a bunch of instances of people winning these contests that were ridiculous. Some of them that were men. Some of them were they're obese. Some of them that weren't. And I could see pushing, but now it's like people are looking to push back wherever they can.
Because people tend to, become accustomed to outrage.
They're
very
looking to
quickly.
be outraged, but this is one where you're like, come on.
No, it's enough for her.
You don't think that lady could win? That's crazy.
She should. Yeah, she
can fucking win, but
not at 34.
But she's still hot.
No, she's still hot.
Why is there a age limit? By 34, you should have a kid. You should have your shit together. Not be in a beauty pageant. I guess you could see that argument.
I mean, at 34 years old, I think
you've only got like 4 years left of kids.
As a woman at 34 years old, I think you should be put in a facility.
Like a horse.
Yeah. So I think that's what the problem is. I think this woman still being out there.
Women are hot pretty late these days.
No,
they can stay hot for
I think
a long time.
You made a great point about like, it's just people looking to be upset about things. And like I said, DEI in a beauty pageant, I get it. It is what it is, whatever.
Yeah, but that's
not DEI. But even if there was an example of DEI, DEI bothers me like if they're like, hey, we want diverse pilots. And you go, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Beauty pageants are somewhat meaningless, even though they're not completely meaningless. I'm scared when they're like, we need diverse surgeons. And I go, no. Right. You need good surgeons.
Only.
You need good surgeons.
Yeah.
I don't care what my surgeon looks like if they're good. I've never in my life said, I want an Irish surgeon.
Yeah.
I'm Irish. My grandfather came from Ireland. I've never said, you know what would be good? If a guy named Malachi or Rory operated on me if I needed surgery.
I like a guy with men in his last name. Like a Gettleman.
Yeah. I want a Jew. I want a Pakistani or an Asian. That's it. I don't really want like a fun surgeon.
No. You want him
I don't want like a wordsmith.
Right.
I want like we had a bad flight. Me and Sam Talent, we left Amsterdam, 35 minutes. It was a private plane going to Luton, which is an airport near London. Not in London, but near it. And the pilot said, it's a little windy in London. 30 of the 35 minutes were absolutely fine. When we hit about 3,000 feet, something happened. And it was not good. We got about 700 feet, and we're like, me and Sam Talent are like, where the fuck's the runway? To the right, we saw the runway perpendicular to the plane. Not good.
Ooh.
The pilot tried to, get the plane in. You see him on the controls, and we felt a gust of wind, and the pilot was like, fuck it. You heard him say, fuck it. Boom, we went back up. Oh. Go around through like a bad storm, and then we had to land in Birmingham, and the landing at Birmingham was very tough too because the weather was degenerating. Oh. But you had two French pilots that were in great shape and didn't say anything, and they were just like AI machines. And you had a Russian flight attendant, and to her, life and death have no meaning. It makes no difference. It's no difference. So she sits, says nothing, no expression on her face, and these two pilots. And in that moment, you want the most skilled person for the job. You are not thinking about anything else. You're not thinking about, were they raised rich?
Yeah.
How easy was it for them to go to flight school? Did their parents pay for their flights? All you're thinking about is, God, get this plane on the ground.
Yeah.
And that's where DEI, to me, is the most insane and dangerous, is when you start taking real important jobs and talking about shit no one gives a fuck about.
Yeah.
When you're on a plane like that, you don't give a fuck if it was two white pilots, black pilots. I don't give a shit who it is, as long as they are really good at flying this fucking plane.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. That's how it's supposed to be with everything. It's just how things go one way, and people recognize it's the wrong way, and then right now that's the overcorrection. The correction is equality.
I had an overweight woman pilot once, and I went, I don't like it. I don't want me in the thing. I don't want to fly. And I didn't want this overweight woman.
Did you say it?
Not to her, but she was like a chubby woman, and she like barely fit in this, and she's like she's like moving the thing, and I'm like, what is happening? Now, we didn't die, but I didn't love that. I want someone in the cockpit who's svelte and in really good shape, and
the right stuff,
and doesn't have a personality. I don't want pilots to have a personality.
Yeah,
pilots should be very similar to machines.
You ever heard Rollins talk about this?
No.
You know he does those spoken word things. He talks about like, what he wants in a pilot. Like he wants that steel blue eyes.
Yeah.
The right stuff look.
Yeah.
High top crew cut.
Like we've had pilots that are too like friendly, and they're just too like, they come in the back and like talking to you, and you go, I don't want that shit.
I want military guys.
I want guys that are ex-military or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's really what you really want military guys. That's a great point.
It's a scary job, man. You're piloting a giant metal thing that's flying through the air at ridiculous speeds. And then you have to deal with the wind sometimes.
Yeah. It's scary. Oh. You want people that are just...
Well, there was a push for that in comedy for a while.
Yeah.
In L.A., certain clubs would literally have a quota where they have a certain amount of this and a certain amount of that.
Right.
And a lot of people snuck through that shouldn't have been there.
Right.
And, you know, one of the things that we set up at the mothership, we said, it's just funny.
It's just
doesn't
funny.
matter because of that, it's very diverse. But but just through merit.
Right.
Just through, because there's a bunch of funny people from all walks of life.
Right.
And just find the ones who are good. Doesn't matter where you're from. You have to be good. You have to
work hard.
You got to work hard. You got to be trying to do this thing that we're all doing. And if you're not, if you're trying to derive value, if you're trying to like get attention for something that's unrelated to the art form, and everybody else is doing the art form, that creates a giant problem. And if it's effective, then it's even more of a problem, because then other people start doing it, and then you get clapter. And then you get like this distortion of the art where it's really people that aren't good at it. And so that's why they're trying to find some other way to generate energy, some other way to get attention and to get people excited. And that way is, you know, they'll try it through like social causes. Like I've heard people say, like, if your comedy is not elevating social issues, then it's bullshit. Like, what?
Right.
That's
crazy.
That's so nuts. That's
crazy.
such a nutty thing to say. It's like, you know, if your music doesn't make me cry, then it's bullshit. Like, no, that's not true.
Well, it's also like everybody became obsessed with like lists and being on a list and having like a certain amount of people on a list. And you go,
like, what kind of list?
Like any of these lists that would come out from Rolling Stone or Vulture,
list
or
of the top best
Variety, or any of this, and people get really upset. And you go, guys, it's not about who gives a fuck.
Yeah,
like being obsessed with that shit and who's on it and who's represented. It doesn't matter. It's not defining. Anyone can have a career now that works hard enough and really wants one and develops the talent.
Yeah.
Because we all have this ability to be out there.
Also, these lists are all curated.
They're all curated. People pay money to get on them.
And they get on there because of people's political leanings. They get on ideological leanings.
Right.
Like when you go to, here's a good example. You go to YouTube and you see the trending now.
Right.
Do you know what was never on the trending now?
Right.
My conversation with Trump.
Right.
It got a, what is it at one point in time? 1.2 million an hour. Is that what it was, Jamie? Something nutty like that, and it wasn't trending. Well, what is trending?
Right.
Show me what is trending.
Right.
What kind of views do they have?
Right.
That's got to be crazy because this video's got 60 million views. So what views do they have?
Right. Right.
It's insane.
No,
it's
insane.
Curated. So that's completely curated. So you can't trust that trending now thing, because if it's trending now, and it first of all, what could be bad about letting a person talk to another person, whether you're trying to find out who this person is? What could be bad with that if this guy's about to run for president, whether you like it or not? What could possibly be bad about that you would try to stop it from being in your trending? Is it like when you just interview Donald Trump, or you have the name Donald Trump, it can never be trending because they don't want to promote Donald Trump? Well, then what are you doing?
Right.
Like, what are you do you have a mandate? Do you have a very specific set of rules that you apply to certain people?
Well, that's why I think when he gets in, he's talked about kind of a cyber or whatever Bill of Rights, like this idea that you would not be able to be discarded by these companies without some type of recourse. And I think a lot of people hate that.
Well, it's just crazy that the right, that what they think of as the far right, which is Trump, is pro freedom of speech.
Right.
And trying to promote that on the internet. But the reason for that, selfishly, you could say, is because political people from the right were silenced for a long time.
Right.
Or at least censored on Twitter for a long time.
For sure.
It's certainly marginalized, and it was dangerous. You know, they could go after you. They would try to get people fired for things. It was you know, it got pretty sketchy. And then a lot of people got removed from Twitter that were right-wing people.
Right.
You know, including Trump. I mean, they literally kicked him off of Twitter.
Right.
That, obviously, for a guy like him who's felt the effect of it, being removed from the conversation. You remember when he was tweeting constantly, and then all of a sudden, silence.
Right.
Nothing. And then it was like,
then people and Gavin McGinnis said this once. I don't want to take his point, but he said, when you're removed, everyone can say anything they want about you. You do not have the ability to defend yourself.
Exactly. And
so
that's
that
the goal.
narrative is painted.
That was the goal, though. That's what they wanted from him.
Right.
They didn't want him to be able to say, hey, it's rigged, check out this, check out that. They just wanted to, you said that the election was rigged, you're off forever.
Right.
No more talking. Which
Right.
is a nutty thing to say. If the guy is not in jail, if he's not doing something that puts him in jail, and I know he was tried for a bunch of stuff, most of it I think was bullshit.
It was a lot of bullshit.
A lot of bullshit. But the reality is, if that guy is an American citizen and he's not doing anything illegal, and he used to be the fucking president of the United States,
Right.
removing him from the internet seems insane.
It's insane.
Insane. Especially when you hear what he really said to those people that were at the Capitol. Do it peacefully. And then when you find out that now they said there's at least 26
FBI agents
or informants. Whatever
that means.
You're working for the FBI.
Right.
At least 26
there.
that were there. At least.
That entered.
The whole thing is nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah.
But also, if you had a real insurrection, wouldn't you want the FBI to be there? I mean, if you had a real group of armed militia that wanted to take over the Capitol, and they had plans, and they had fucking armored cars, and they
Right.
had heat style.
Sure.
You would want someone in that group to tell you what
Right.
the fuck is going on. But that
Right.
wasn't the case.
No.
That was not the case.
But you also have photos and videos of people opening the doors of the Capitol.
Fist pumping people.
Come on in.
Yeah. Here, I'll show you where the gavel gets handed.
That's very strange.
Yeah. The
That's
whole
odd.
thing's nuts. And
That's very
there's people that have been in jail with no trial for years now. For years.
Right.
And there's this crazy opposition to pardoning those people, but no outrage about the people that Biden has pardoned, including that Kids for Cash judge.
I sent you that. That's crazy.
Fucking crazy.
That judge and people whose children committed suicide because they were in that prison have spoken out and said this guy is directly responsible in their estimation for my son's death because he was taking bribes to give these kids crazy sentences. And some of these kids developed, crazy psychological problems and took their own lives. So
just imagine if you didn't do
evil.
anything wrong
It's evil.
and this guy railroads you into a juvenile detention center
It's
and you're
evil.
getting raped.
And then Joe Biden lets him out of jail.
Yeah.
Pardons him, commutes his sentence, whatever.
So just look at things with balance, folks.
Right.
For real. Look at things with balance. None of that makes any sense. And if the left is the side that's telling you that this person should be censored, like they're never supposed to be anti-free speech. The ADL was always about it. I mean, there was a famous thing that they let the Nazi or the Ku Klux Klan have this rally because they said you can't silence people.
The hardest thing on the left right now is for them to admit that the people that they have put out as spokespeople for them all have to go. And that's where no one's admitting. No one's admitting the real problem because then they would have to admit that they have to relinquish their job.
They need a reasonable, like Clinton in the 90s.
They need guy. Not only do they need that, they need a media strategy where they don't have the most shrill voices out there.
Right.
Meaning like they have a lot of people who are very dismissive of other people and they're incredibly annoying and nobody is receiving that message.
Right.
And they have to change their strategy. They have children that are out there, like annoying children, just screaming and yelling. These Biden people, these young guys that are like screaming and yelling about Biden. And it's not based on, and I'm not saying the right doesn't have annoying people, but like the left, because they lost, they have to build a party around people you don't hate.
Yeah.
If you're going to tell me something, I don't want to hate you. I don't want to hate the messenger.
Right.
The View is not an effective way.
There were 2 guys that were put in prison for this. The one that was released was already living on house confinement and only had 2 years left. The other guy is still in prison and will be there till.
This is the January 6th people?
No, the Kids for Cash.
Oh.
Yeah, but who can, number one?
No, okay.
So
more than one guy.
he's an evil person.
Yeah, he's clearly.
This is a clearly terrible, evil person.
So what exactly are you saying, Jamie? There was 2 other people that were involved?
The one that Biden had his sentence wiped out only had less than 2 years left and was already in home confinement. The other guy is still in prison.
I see.
And was not let out.
But
early.
still, the guy's at home confinement for 2 years. I think he can do another 2 years in his fucking house.
He could do another 2 years in his house or go back to the jail that he put children into.
Yes, I mean, it should be like.
Jamie is working for the
I'm
feds.
just like, I was confused. I was like, that's fucked up. Why would you let the guy out? But
I'm
it was like
kidding.
2
Yeah.
of them, one of them still in jail.
There's a lot of other stuff. There's people that were Chinese spies that were on that list.
Yeah, how about his son?
That makes sense to me.
Well,
If you have a kid, you get it. You fucked up.
This also
You
says,
gotta you're gonna die. You don't want him to go to jail.
Well,
And
he
if
hates everybody.
If you had this
Biden hates
magic
everyone
pen,
now.
not only that, okay, they just ousted you in a coup. All right, but you're still the president for at least another month and a half. Of course, then, even though you said you wouldn't do it,
Yeah.
once they ousted
You're
him,
going to do it.
because all the times of him saying that he wasn't
Right.
going to pardon his son, wasn't he still the president? I mean, maybe if they let him be the president for a second term, maybe he wouldn't pardon.
Can you
his
imagine
son.
explaining to him the aliens? Because he doesn't know. Someone's got some in the deep, deep, deep state, like
Did
the
you hear him
bowels
talk
of the
about
deep
it?
state.
You haven't heard him talk about the drones?
No, please. Do you have it?
Wonderful. See if you can find it. Biden addresses the drones. It is.
Someone's going to sit him down, and they're like in a black suit, and they're like, "Hey, you're going to have to tell the country
Bro,
that there's aliens."
He's a guy where you grab his hair, or he's asleep
Yeah.
on the park bench,
Right.
and you lift his head up, and he starts
Right.
talking.
Right.
That's him right now.
I know. It's so bad.
Well, there's only one. There's one that's ours, basically ours.
Yeah.
Watch this.
It's so bad. It's so bad that this is the guy that we have right now while this is happening. This is the guy who's communicating whatever is happening to us.
All I can imagine is the people that are running this are letting him do this now. Like, get him out there.
Get him out there.
For fun.
Put him out.
They're like, let's see what he says.
Put him
we
out.
already lost.
And you know what it is? They're like, if we need to confuse people about what is happening, he's the guy.
Did you find it anywhere, Jamie?
I'm very confused of what I'm seeing. It seems like he talked about it in the dark with a hat on, but everything starts showing him at a podium.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah, he was in the dark with a hat
Dark
on.
with
Yeah,
a
so
hat
like-
is perfect.
Yeah, this is it. This is it. That's it. That's
he
it.
looks dead.
Listen.
On the matter, saying
Listen.
there's really nothing alarming about this.
I believe you, buddy.
Nothing nefarious, apparently. But they're checking it all out. I think it's just one. There's a lot of drones authorized up there. I think one started and they all got it. Everybody wanted to get in the deal. But we're following it closely. So far, no sense of the danger.
So let's bring in CBS.
Yeah,
This
there's
is
just one
Look
drone.
at these propaganda people. Look, come on, let me
No,
hear
it's
what they
all
have to say.
propaganda.
Trump, on the other hand, says the military knows what the drones are. Mr. Biden, though, doesn't seem to have that ominous tone. So how do we square that, and what do you know today?
Yeah, well, I think both of those things can be true. I think both sides are saying that the military does, in fact, have an idea or, the semblance of an idea of where these drones are coming from. We had a joint statement that came out from the FAA, the FBI, the DHS, the Pentagon, saying that a lot of these sightings are actually manned aircrafts or other things that are floating in the sky that are perfectly non-threatening and perfectly mundane. They said there was nothing anomalous coming out of their reports. Now,
Keep going.
Yeah, no, that's enough. This sounds like a snippet right before an alien invasion movie.
Absolutely.
Like a bunch of people saying it's not nefarious, nothing to worry about. You got an ancient president. It's like, well, it started off with one, and everybody else wanted to get in on the deal.
So crazy. He goes, I think it's just one.
They don't tell him nothing.
They're being reported all over the country.
But what do they even tell him?
They tell him nothing.
These reports about how the people working with him knew he was compromised like right away.
Oh, they know.
And how it kept getting worse and worse and worse, and they all hit it. That seems like that should be illegal. It should be illegal to lie about that, just like it's illegal to lie under oath. It should be illegal to lie.
Conceal the mental decline of the leader of the free world.
Not just conceal, but be deceptive.
Right.
In the way you're describing it, like he's sharp as a tack.
Yeah, I mean, this is just...
It looks great.
I mean,
he's chilling. He's on TikTok right there. He's eating donuts. He's got to start a TikTok channel where he just eats donuts.
How the White House functioned with a diminished
Biden in charge. Diminished is a fun word because it could be like 99% diminished, or it could be 10% diminished. It could be hungover, or you could be almost dead.
Well, I think the other thing too is like nobody fully understands who's running the country at the moment.
No, I've described it like a Tesla with auto drive.
Right.
You're like, you have your hands near the steering wheel. It's like, is this thing going to do this?
There's no authority that we're all, Now, obviously, the president is not the only authority. We all know that.
But it's the first time ever where the guy who's the president is incapacitated. Like completely. And we're looking at him like he's just a couple steps away from Carter.
Right.
Remember Carter?
Yeah.
When they said, Carter's so excited to vote for Biden.
Right.
And he was like this.
Right.
It was crazy.
No, he
was going to vote for Harris. That's right. It was by the time
he was laying out there in the sun. He didn't know he was alive.
His mouth was wide open. It's so sad. It's so sad to watch it. They're saying he's so excited to vote for Kamala Harris. Like, can I hear him say that?
Yeah.
Can you look at that? Can you tell me what he said?
Oh my God! I mean, that is so crazy.
Did you ever hear Hunter S. Thompson's recordings where he talked about? He wrote about it too, but. I think it's in one of his documentaries. It might have been the Gonzo documentary, but he talked about how he heard Jimmy Carter. He'd basically, after the last Nixon election, he'd kind of given up on politics, like, fuck this. This is all bullshit. And he was hired to go to listen to Carter speak. And as he was listening to Carter speak, he ran out to his car and got his tape recorder. He said, because this guy was making so much sense. And he was saying... Like, Jimmy Carter was a beautiful president. He was like, he was one of the only presidents where you're like, wow, this is like a kind, peaceful man.
He built houses afterwards.
Yeah. Never got rich. Never got rich. He was one of the only presidents that after his life, he lived very simply. He never did the speaking gig thing where you're making $250,000 to talk to bankers. He didn't do any of that shit.
Right.
And see if you can find that. Like Hunter S. Thompson on Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
You got it? Here it is. Different than the way they portrayed it in the documentary. In the documentary, they left all that ruthlessness part out.
Well, he's a president, so he's got to be ruthless. But I do think Carter seemed to believe in things and seemed to have a constitution.
That's the speech he gave. It's called A Message on Justice.
Oh.
You can look it up. It's on his library's website.
In the documentary, it's much more favorable.
Yeah.
The way Hunter's talking about it, that he was excited by him and excited by him quoting Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, I guess if you're going to be the fucking president, I bet Kamala Harris is ruthless.
She's incredibly ruthless.
I think you probably
have to
be.
Think of how far she got.
Yeah.
With very little.
Yeah, you got to be ambitious.
You have to be so ambitious, and it's impressive to me how close she got to the presidency.
Yeah.
Without any discernible intellect, really, truly. Like, she didn't display any... I mean, listen, if you said she was a lawyer, great. If you said she was a manager at a mid-level company, sure. That's all fine. She was, again, she's, it was fine. It was all okay. But there's no like discernible intellect that you would think the president would have. And say what you want about Trump. People like him. They don't like him. He has instincts that are somewhat unmatched in the political arena. He's able to speak extemporaneously for hours at a time. He's passionate about things. He has lived a rich life and understands the facets of things and human beings and whatever. And, you know, again, it's presented in a much different way than it's been presented, right? He doesn't speak like Bill Clinton or Barack Obama or anything like that, but like he clearly is someone who possesses an incredible amount of political talent and skill. That's no one disagrees with that. Kamala Harris was an incredibly average, mediocre politician. And if you said she was the DA of San Francisco or, you know, a local position, but the fact that she got very close to the presidency, she has to be a ruthless, ambitious operator. And there is something impressive about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the business. If you want to succeed in that business, that's what you got to do. If you want to succeed in TikTok, you go to Costco. You make songs.
I know.
You should hold up a cookie.
I know. But you know what? Maybe the aliens are here to fix it. Thank you very much for doing this. I know
My
this is
pleasure,
your day
brother.
off.
No, listen, I love you. I'm always
Mr.
happy to
Jamie.
help. I'm always happy to be on the
Thank
show.
you for letting me do the special.
Dude,
Thank
special
you for saving it.
it's gonna rule.
No, thank you for saving it.
Well, I was glad I could. It's nice
Thank
to be
you.
able to do that, and the people were cool. They
I
did
was
it all.
that
and-
first show. I prayed you left. I said, God, I hope he's gone.
We fixed it. We fixed it.
Where were you watching from? The green room or
The balcony.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, oh. I was praying. I said, maybe he left. You know, about 5 minutes in, I go, maybe he left. I go, he's probably got a lot to do. He's probably running around.
I'm just happy you were doing 4 so we could fix it.
Yeah, no, we did. We
All
fixed
right.
it. Thank you.
Tim, I
You're
love
the
you to
best.
death.
Love
Thank
you
you
too.
very much.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, buddy.
Bye.